Over here in East Nashville, some rock slide work. The right lane is blocked. Ellington Parkway southbound right there at Trinity Lane. And then in Woodbine got a crash by police reporting 24 eastbound at I-440. And in Rural Hill, TDOT reporting a crash with the right lane blocked 24 westbound at Bell Road. Police reporting a crash in Madison. This will be 65 northbound at Old Hickory Boulevard. And on the South Loop, TDOT says there's a crash 40 eastbound near 4th Avenue, exit 210C. Traffic every 10 minutes, every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Hello, friends. Welcome in. It is the Matt Murphy Radio Show underway for another day. Happy to have you with us. I am Matt Murphy. Conveniently, I'm here till 7 o'clock tonight or whenever they kick us off the radio, whichever comes first. I'm glad that you're with us. I hope you give us that entire amount of time. If not, whatever time you're able, whether it's 5 minutes, maybe you're in the car for 15, 20, 25, 30 minutes. Perhaps you give us an hour or all four. We thank you. It is Wednesday, April 16, 2025. I would say I hope you got your taxes filed, but in the state of Tennessee, if you're listening to us in the volunteer state, you should have filed an extension because you have until now, November 3rd, in all 95 counties. But you can listen to us on a variety of different platforms throughout the state of Tennessee, throughout the United States of America, nay, the globe, as we broadcast on 99.7 FM from Kentucky to Alabama and all points in between. You can also find us on iHeart, TuneIn, Spotify, a variety of different apps. If you have an app that you use for music or information, news, podcast, you can download us. Just type in Supertalk 99.7 WTN. Then, of course, there's the television side of things, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch. We call it Talk TV. And if you want to watch a guy do a radio show, you may do so on the Talk TV side of things. It's episode 791 of our gathering together today. It's also 86, day 86 of the Trump administration's second term, 86 of 1,460. And I only remind you of that just because I like to drive the liberals crazy. There's a lot of this to come. I mean, we're not even scratching the surface just yet. And there's lots to discuss, as you might expect, in that regard. What with the continued brouhaha, as it is, over this Garcia fella and the fact that the Trump administration can't manage to find him in CICOT, the El Salvadorian prison. And I guess that's where we'll start. We're going to move over to the General Assembly in a moment or two as they are attempting to pass a budget. It's my understanding they've passed it in the House of Representatives, and so that's an ongoing process. I'll update you with what's going on over there. We've got a number of things to say on that. We've got Harvard to get into, and why in the hell Harvard is getting taxpayer money to begin with is beyond me. The UK courts have done something right. The Supreme Court of the United Kingdom did something in particular that I appreciate. We'll tell you about that today. Give you a vape update. There's also an update. What else did I have? Oh, yeah, the House of Representatives in the state of Tennessee passed a bill that would segregate college bathrooms by biological sex. That's good news. So you don't have to worry about your freshman or your sophomore young women being invaded by men in the bathroom in that regard. So we will discuss that as well. If you're wondering why our effort in the state of Tennessee on the immigration front is so important, this is where I want to start, and I'll get to an update on the Garcia story in a moment. But I just pulled up a story on my handy dandy handheld computer that some people call a phone. And in order to get to this story as an example of why it's important that the state of Tennessee is doing what it's doing, I want to make sure that you understand what the state of Tennessee is trying to do. The state of Tennessee has a bill before the legislature, and I don't know where it is today, and some of you on the super text line might be able to update me on it. I don't know if they've gotten it through the House of Representatives yet. It got through the Senate, and the bill would require or at least allow for school districts to charge children of illegal alien parents money to educate them, or it would not require the local districts to educate those kids as current law demands. As we have discussed this bill, and it's an easily vilified one. I mean, there are people out there saying, oh, you don't want to educate brown people and all that sort of thing, and it's nonsense. It's nonsense. This is the idea of this legislation is to push this up to the United States Supreme Court to ask the United States Supreme Court if it is not a violation of the 10th Amendment, allowing the states to engage in their business in a manner of their own choosing, that you require, currently states are required to educate all children that come before the public education system, regardless of their legal status. And what the state of Tennessee and some others are now arguing is that over the years, this has become an increasingly difficult burden to bear monetarily. That the costs naturally go up as the amount of kids that come to the school system that are not documented go up. Secondarily, the costs are inherently higher in educating these young people because most of them are not English speakers. So you have to hire additional people. You have to take additional time in order to catch these individuals up if you are able to at all. There is a burden on the states, financial burden on the states, that the United States federal government, through the Supreme Court and Plyler v. Doe, it's an unfunded mandate. And so some are wondering whether or not the phrase I heard, is the juice worth the squeeze? It is one of my least favorite, more modern phrases. I don't remember hearing this phrase until a year or so ago, but it is one of my least favorite. But is the juice worth the squeeze with regard to this legislation? Because there's a lot of backlash, and there are a lot of people that are trying to vilify the state of Tennessee and all of that. Well, I have an example of what happens when you don't push back on this concept that if you get here legally or not, you're going to receive the same wealth of entitlement benefit as an American citizen is entitled to. I have that story coming to us out of California. I'm going to get to that story in a moment. So I just wanted to give you the backstory. By the way, I just realized that I failed to say hello to our two cohorts that join us from time to time during these afternoon visits together. One would be Ken. Last time I saw Ken Weaver, he was sunning like a cat on the veranda of Cumulus Media and Supertalk 99.7 WTN. Hello, Mr. Weaver.
More like a turtle.
Oh, well, that's true. I can see that, too. Yeah.
I'm doing good. How about you, Brother Murphy?
I'm well, like a turtle on a log.
Yes, sir.
They're getting some sun. It feels good. Is it good out there for you?
It's good out there today. Yes, sir.
All right.
We're at 70 degrees.
Okay. 70's the floor for Ken Weaver.
70's the floor for me.
Well, I love it. I absolutely love it. How's the news going?
News is going good today. A lot going on.
Anything I need to know about?
I think you pretty much know everything.
Well, I mean, I don't know. Well,
we don't know what's going to happen. We know what has happened.
I know this. When news happens, we'll cover it.
Yes, sir.
When news breaks, Ken Weaver fixes it. On Supertalk 99.7 WTN. That's what I know. Chris Weber's also behind the glass, making sure that everything that comes out of our speaker sounds as good as humanly possible. Hello, Mr. Weber.
Hi there.
How's it going?
It's fine and dandy.
It's a midweek.
Indeed it is.
And I'm out on Friday, by the way. I hope everybody knows that. Oh. And look, it's only the second time or the third day that I've taken off, but I'm out on Friday. Cameron Smith is in for me. Cameron will be in on Good Friday as I'm out of pocket and out of town on that day. So let's invest a moment to tell you this story. The Golden State, California, and rightly so. California has gone such a bad way. California can't get out of its own way. Hasn't been able to for a long time. The liberal governor of California, Gavin Newsom, has signed a $2.8 billion bailout just this week to close the state's bloated deficit in California's Medicaid program. The Medicaid program surpassed projections due to the program's expansion last year to include, wait for it now, illegal aliens. The move, confirmed by Newsom's office to Fox News Digital, and I'm reading the story from Fox News, comes after the Democrat governor asked lawmakers last month for a $3.4 billion loan from the state's general fund to cover the $6.2 billion in outstanding cost for Medi-Cal, one of the state's primary health care programs that takes both federal and state taxpayer dollars. The additional funding will help keep the program running through June for some 15 million Californians, including non-citizens. Republicans have been critical of the loan, arguing the current Medicaid program isn't sustainable with illegal aliens included in the coverage. According to California Republican State Senate Minority Leader Brian Jones, meanwhile, health care access is plummeting. Wait times are growing. Democrats have made their choice. Legal residents come second. We must stop new enrollments of illegal immigrants and rein in this unsustainable program before it collapses entirely. According to state data, roughly 1.6 million illegal aliens are currently enrolled in Medi-Cal. Part of this program's total 15 million enrollees, 1.6 million are enrolled, illegal aliens. So I don't know how to estimate this, but that cannot be anywhere near the total illegal alien population in the state of California. That indication would signal to me that the illegal alien population in the state of California is probably roughly around 5 million alone. And if you've got 1.6 million illegal aliens that are currently enrolled in Medi-Cal, I would guess that many illegal aliens would be afraid of enrolling in a program such as this one for fear of reprisal. Some others perhaps would not need to enroll. If you are young, somewhere in your 20s or 30s, and you feel invulnerable. That's just a tremendous figure. So 1.6 million illegal aliens currently enrolled in Medi-Cal, a part of the program's total 15 million enrollees. The state had initially projected the expansion would cost to just under $6 billion for fiscal year 24-25, or fiscal year 24-25. But in year one, the costs have surged far past the estimate. Newsom's latest budget proposal now puts the cost of covering illegal immigrants at $8.4 billion for 24-25 and $7.4 billion for the following year. Meanwhile, this is a program that receives federal dollars, and many folks, like our own Senator Marsha Blackburn, are asking the question which she posed on the X machine: why are federal taxpayers on the hook to fund health care for illegal aliens? Once again, no one's against these people. No one wants these people to suffer. I want them to live wonderful, productive lives back in their countries of origin, but we cannot possibly foot the bill. And if you want to be in the United States of America properly, you need to come here legally. Meanwhile, State House Republicans are pushing back. A new GOP proposal aims to cut $880 billion, primarily from Medicaid, over the next decade to rein in what they say is wasteful government spending. Now, what do those two stories have to do with one another? The immigration piece in Tennessee and the Medi-Cal piece out in California. If you do not get the cost assessment of illegal alien activity in the United States of America yet, look at that story out of California to give you an idea of what exactly it is. I don't know how to put a cost assessment on what it's costing our education system to educate illegal aliens. Once again, this is not anti-brown person. It's not anti-alien. It's not anti-immigration. It is anti-illegal immigration. We need to close down for business and get an assessment as to where we are as a country with regard to our needs for immigration. We cannot take all of the world's immigrants and not expect that that's going to impact us primarily in our wallets, in our pocketbooks. And if we're expected to foot the bill, we're going to foot the bill. And right now, the expectation is, under the law, under Plyler v. Doe, that we have to foot the bill when it comes to publicly educating these young people whose parents have come illegally. And while that is the law of the land as determined by a split Supreme Court in 1982, 5-4 decision, by the way, doesn't necessarily have to be that way. So I would suggest they need to get this thing passed, get it into the court systems, and run it up the flagpole and see who salutes on it. Otherwise, you become California, and you're begging and borrowing billions and billions of dollars to pay for programs, to pay for individuals that, by all rights, should not be here to begin with. That is the opening monologue. It's 20 after the hour on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. If you'd like to weigh in, 615-737-9986, 615-737-9986, either via super text or telephone call. Back in a moment on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, friends, it's Matt Murphy, and we're joined by my man Tony over at Cabinet Solutions in Hendersonville to talk about some of the options and opportunities he has for the homeowner out there to find the cabinets of their dreams. Tony, what's going on, my friend?
Well, I got to thinking today that we've got some home builders that are just driving around Nashville, going to their job sites, and I have got something for them. I can put together a package of different products other than cabinets as well. And if they buy these products from me, I can get them a package that's ridiculously low in price, and they can't get it beat anywhere else.
So if you're a home builder and you're driving from one job site to the next, or if you're in your truck or, listening on the radio, you need to call Tony and Cabinet Solutions and find out some of these great deals that you've got going on. Is that what I'm hearing?
That's what you're hearing. I don't believe there's going to be anybody that can compete against these builder packages that we've put together.
Well, it's one of the wonderful things that you guys do at Cabinet Solutions, right? You can sell to the builder. You can sell directly to the homeowner. You've got installers that can help facilitate the installation of these things. I mean, all things are possible at Cabinet Solutions, Tony.
That is correct. And they can get me at mycabinetsolution.com. There's no S on solution there. mycabinetsolution.com. Go to the Contact Us page and fill out the contact form. That comes directly to me, and I'll get right back to them, and we'll see what their project is and help them.
You need to get in contact with Tony. He's the man with the plan at Cabinet Solutions. Once again, it's mycabinetsolution.com. Hey, friends, let's talk about the Sleep Apnea and TMJ Solution Center with Dr. Brian McLaughlin and Dr. Poss. They're in Murfreesboro, they're in Brentwood, and they're here for you. Dr. Brian McLaughlin has taken over the duties of Dr. Poss in as much as he wants to help you sleep better tonight. They have the custom fabricated oral appliance, which is FDA approved and clinically proven. Friends, I know this works because I have my appliance at home, and I wear it on a nightly basis. It is simply for the folks that cannot possibly, I couldn't imagine wearing a CPAP machine. And I understand how people feel like that. I mean, there are many of you that cannot tolerate a CPAP. Well, if that's you and you have mild to moderate sleep apnea, there is a solution for you. Friends, we want you to get with the Sleep Apnea and TMJ Solution Center to see if it's possible. Also, allergies are a problem. I mean, always a problem, and they can exacerbate already existing sleep apnea issues, and that can truly affect your sleep even greater than it already has been. Don't forget that they're in network with most insurance in the state of Tennessee, to include Blue Cross Blue Shield, Aetna, Cigna, United Healthcare, TRICARE for the military, and they're an approved community care provider for the VA to help veterans sleep and live better. Go to TennesseeSleep.com. That's TennesseeSleep.com to find out more. It's Dr. Brian McLaughlin, Dr. Poss, and the Sleep Apnea and TMJ Solution Center.
A woman attacked while out for a walk in Middle Tennessee, and state lawmakers approving a budget setting up adjournment next week. These stories and more at 3:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
It's on the way in mere moments on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Matt Murphy. This is the Matt Murphy Show. Thank you for being around, whatever time you're able to give us. We're appreciative of it. We've got until 7 o'clock tonight. Join us on Talk TV, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch. We appreciate you. At some point, I'll get the text groove going. I'll get the super text line up and running, and we'll figure out what you guys are saying over there. That is on me, not on you. That is on me. I'll say this. Tennessee, I don't know if they're going to get this insurance. I don't know if they're going to get this immigration deal across the finish line, and I've not heard where they're at on it today. They were focused singularly on getting the budgets passed. The immigration piece passed the Senate, and it moved over to the House of Representatives. So I've not gotten an update on it this afternoon. I will endeavor to do so. But suffice it to say that it matters more than just getting it into the court system. It is all about money, right? It's all about money. And the Trump administration is working diligently to try to protect our southern borders and to do the job that Joe Biden abdicated over the last 4 years. And I'll say another thing about this. The mainstream media is attempting to make this Garcia fella the face of Trump's reckless illegal immigration front. And I don't think this is a good play. I don't have any sympathy for Mr. Garcia. You know, outside of whatever sympathy I might have for any other lawbreaker that got caught. I mean, I don't know the dude. Maybe he's a good father. Maybe he's turned his life around. Maybe he's no longer a part of MS-13, but was a part of MS-13. Maybe he's a good, wholesome family man nowadays. I don't know. I know that in 2011, by his own admission, he came from El Salvador illegally. He entered the United States of America illegally. He did not claim asylum at the time that he entered the United States of America illegally. He did not. It was only after an order of deportation in 2019 that he claimed asylum, and in doing so, he opened himself up for criticism as a former or current gang member, inasmuch as he said that based on gang affiliations that he had while in El Salvador, that he feared that if he was returned to El Salvador, that there would be gang-related reprisals by Barrio 18, which is a rival gang to MS-13. Y'all following me so far? So any and all conversation about whether or not this guy is a gang member was happening back in 2019. He was arguing, no, you can't send me back because gang-related activity would present a real and present danger to me. Well, that gang-related activity is not going on in El Salvador anymore. So while I don't have a problem with him being presented in court, I equally would tell you that there's no scenario by which he's going to be returned to the United States of America. There's no scenario that he's going to come home a conquering hero of the Democrat Party. I mean, there's just none. You were either a gang member or are a gang member, and by extension, you are a part of a terrorist organization as designated by the Trump administration, or you're not. And if you're not a part of a gang-related activity, then your asylum claim in 2019 is null and void, and you need to be sent back anyway. The deportation order stands either way. And what the Democrats are hanging on as well, he didn't get a hearing. You know what you need to do? You need to fire up the old computer down there in El Salvador, get a damn Zoom call going, put him on Zoom, give him his hearing, and put him back in his jail cell and be done with it. And oh, by the way, Joe Biden and the Biden administration, for 4 years, the Biden administration ignored the law on immigration. For 4 years, the Biden administration didn't think anything about the processes and the law when it came to illegal immigration. So I don't want to hear anything about Donald Trump not, quote unquote, following the law. I've had a belly full of that. It is 3:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. And right now in Middle Tennessee, police in Murfreesboro arrested a man for attacking a woman out on her morning run. The 18-year-old on the walking trail behind the Oaklands Park on Maney Avenue Monday morning when it happened. Police say 23-year-old Xavier Carter was identified as the possible suspect and arrested later Monday afternoon after police say he shoplifted items from a gas station on Memorial Boulevard. Carter's charged with kidnapping, sexual battery, theft, and being held on a $30,000 bond. He's got a hearing set for June 3rd. Over at the state capitol, Channel 4's Stacey Cameron says the General Assembly is closer to adjourning after lively budget debates today.
The House spent close to 3 hours debating the budget. Governor Lee proposing close to $60 billion in state spending. The big-ticket items, $500 million for disaster aid relief, $640 million in new education spending, and a $370 million bump in funding for public safety that includes hiring more state troopers and TBI agents. And while Republicans are cutting nearly $180 million from what the governor asked for, Democrats say those cuts are in the wrong places.
Well, the State House and State Senate advanced budget legislation, both chambers ready to adjourn next week. A federal judge ruling today the executive branch acted in contempt of court for not turning around 2 planes taking alleged Venezuelan gang members to El Salvador. Here's Devin Dwyer.
Judge Boasberg now saying he's going to be deposing members of the administration to answer for what went down back in March. After he issued that order, those planes continued. He has a lot of tools at his disposal. He can prosecute them, he says, for contempt, including by appointing an independent attorney to bring those involved with that procedure to justice.
All of that's likely headed back to the U.S. Supreme Court. And that's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. All right, in South Nashville, got a crash reported by TDOT. It's over on the left shoulder, 440 eastbound, right before I-24. In Antioch, got a crash reported by police. It's on Bell Road at I-24. And then in Cedar Hill, got a crash reported there in Robertson County on the right shoulder, 24 westbound past Maxey Road. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Hey, friends, Matt Murphy here for Stoltz Co. If you're thinking about putting something on your property, like a shed or an outbuilding, or maybe it's a man cave building or garage, Do not use a prefabricated building. Don't do it. You need to contact Stoltzco. Sit down with one of their incredible consultants and talk about a first-class structure on your property, a post-frame building on your property that will increase the value of said property and last a lifetime. That's what they do at Stoltzco. At Stoltzco, they can do you an event space, an equestrian space, a garage, a pole barn, or even a barn dominium. That's right. If you have property and you're thinking about building a home on it, think about a barn dominium at Stoltzco. The many different options, the variety of layouts, the floor plans are available to you, and they're incredible. See more at stoltzco.com. Once again, STOLTZCO.com. They can lay it out for you or call one of their qualified agents today and sit down with them at Stoltzco. 615-622-5992. That's 622-5992. Tell them Matt Murphy sent you to the only one that I would recommend, Stoltzco. Stinky, stinky, stinky. Is that what it was like the last time you visited the auto repair shop? Sadly, that's the case for most. You know, smelly, greasy old rags, a countertop that you wouldn't touch, you know, seats in the waiting room that you want to sit in. Another thing that stinks, repair shops that keep your car forever. They're not honest with you. They don't call you back when they say they're going to call you back. What was your last experience? Friends, it's Matt Murphy, and if you had a negative one, I encourage you to get to Eurofix. Let Eurofix take the stink out of European auto repair. At Eurofix, you get a free 15-minute no-wrench consultation and inspection at every visit. No high-pressure sales tactics. They're just going to tell you what's wrong with your vehicle. And at Eurofix, you also get a 3-year nationwide warranty and a free loaner car with every visit. Never pay dealer prices. Get to Eurofix. Eurofix, locations in Franklin, 100 Oaks, Murfreesboro, Belmead, and the brand new one in Mount Juliet. Call 844-EUROFIX. That's 844-EUROFIX, or visit myEurofix.com. Tell them Matt Murphy sent you to the one and only Eurofix. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. As the Matt Murphy Show continues, thank you for being around with us. So this performative experience that Senator Van Hollen was engaged in, where he went down to El Salvador. He said, I'm going to El Salvador, and I'm going to meet with Abrego Garcia. Well, he did not meet with Abrego Garcia, because that's not the way that it works. You don't get visitation rights just because you're a sitting United States senator. He's the senator from over in Maryland. Oh, I'm going to go see him. I'm going to go get to the bottom of this, and we're going to figure it out. No, you're not going to figure it out. No, you're not. And by the way, for those of you who claim, and there are some, I suppose, that a lot of this is kind of performative on the part of the Trump administration, because Donald Trump and his administration says, hey, there's nothing we can do. He was here illegally. We sent him back. He's in El Salvador's hands now, because the Supreme Court has said that the Trump administration must facilitate the return of this individual, as opposed to it wasn't execute the return. There was another word, expedite. No, it wasn't expedite either. What was the word that the original judge used? Well, one way or the other, the The original judge wanted to force the Trump administration to return this individual, and the Supreme Court said no, the Trump administration should facilitate it. And they changed the language intentionally because they recognize that the Trump administration does not have any say over how El Salvador does their business. And there are some that are suggesting, well, come on. The Trump administration could put pressure on El Salvador if they wanted to. You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of the 4 years of the Biden administration, where the Biden administration looked at the American people and claimed that they were doing everything in their power to stop illegal immigration. And every single one of us knew it wasn't true. Every single one of us knew that it was a lie that the Biden administration was doing everything that they could to stop illegal flow of the illegal activity that was flowing across our southern border. Every single one of us knew that it was not true that they were doing their dead level best to export these illegal aliens from our inner cities. As a matter of fact, they did quite the opposite. They did everything in their power to facilitate individuals coming into this country, to make it easier for illegal aliens to come into this country, to the point that they flew them in here. Y'all remember that? So for all of you namby-pamby folks out there that are, Trump could bring him back if he wanted to. Yeah, probably so, but he's not. There's no place in the realistic world where this person is coming back to the United States of America to live permanently. And sometimes, sad to say, that's what happens when you do it the wrong way. Oh, by the way, for those of you that are crying a river over Kilmar Abrego Garcia, who was deported by the Trump administration to El Salvador's mega prison CICOT due to his alleged MS-13 activity. He was previously accused of physically abusing his wife, the same woman who has been a fierce advocate for his release. According to the New York Post, and this came out earlier today, Garcia's wife, Jennifer Vasquez Sura, applied for a protective order against her husband in 2021, saying that he punched, scratched, bruised her, according to court documents. The same Vasquez Sura, who has appeared on multiple television programs and at press conferences, applied for that protection order. The Department of Homeland Security shared Vasquez Sura's allegations on X, saying that there's evidence that Abrego Garcia had a history of violence and was not the upstanding, quote, Maryland man the media has portrayed him as being. The MS-13 gang member is not a sympathetic figure, according to the Department of Homeland Security. Lawyers representing Abrego Garcia did not respond to request for a comment on the allegations, according to the New York Post. Vasquez Sura spoke to a crowd of protesters outside of the courthouse yesterday, saying her husband was a hardworking man trying to achieve the American dream for his family before he was abducted and disappeared by ICE agents in front of their 5-year-old child. Today is day 34 of his... you know where he is, ma'am. Now, I don't know. I've not seen what her legal status is, and I don't know what her legal status is. I do not want to assume what her legal status is. Some of you are asking, and I don't know the answer to that question. Vasquez Sura spoke after a federal judge ruled against a push to hold federal officials in contempt for violating an order of return for the alleged MS-13 gang member who was deported despite an administrative error. The error was to not address the hold on his deportation order. Understand this. This is all we're talking about for the last week. He had a deportation order. A hold was put on the deportation order due to his asylum claim. That was approved. That hold had to be removed. The hold wasn't removed. It would have been removed, but they skipped that step. If you want them to go back and do that step, so be it. Donna is coming up. Next up is Charles in Nashville. Hey, Charles, how are you?
Hey, I'm pretty good. I just, if you can bear with me for just a second here, I'm going to tell you what Biden would have to say about this Garcia guy. Well, we need to pass immigration laws so we can reform and well, anyway, never mind. That's who you had in there for 4 years.
That's pretty good.
People, please.
That's a pretty good impersonation of Joe Biden, Charles.
Yeah, please give me a break, people. You can't be real. Seriously, go look in the mirror when you're thinking about wanting to bring this guy back. What if it's your daughter, your cousin, your aunt, your uncle? Well, you want them to have to face somebody like this? You want them to have to be around? I mean, this is going on all over the country, and it's always been going on. But over the last 4 years, I mean, we've got 20 years worth. It's ridiculous. I mean, you can't be serious. How can anyone take you serious when you're saying it's okay to let things be wrong? I don't get it.
Well, and we had 4 years of the Biden administration lying to us to our faces, and thank you, Charles, what a great Biden impersonation. You throw in a jack or two or a corn pop, and it's perfection. Absolute perfection. Good job, Charles. And by the way, many of you have commented on the super text line that I finally got up and running. It was effectuate versus facilitate. Those are the words that, and by the way, speaking of words, all the best words, podcast available to you on all Super Talk platforms. It's my belief that you might hear those words in a podcast upcoming later on tonight. You never know. Podcast drops tonight at 7 o'clock, drops Friday at 7 o'clock, drops Monday at 7 o'clock. All the best words on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Anyway. Effectuate. Effectuate means to force something to happen. Facilitate means to make it easier to happen. There's a big difference between those two words. But to Charles's point, the Biden administration stood before the American people and lied to our faces about his inability to do anything about the immigration problem. We now know that that was a lie because less than 3 months into the Trump administration, we're seeing what a president determined to remove illegal aliens from our country can actually do. Does that make all of these people bad people? No, but it means that they've done a bad thing and they have to pay for that bad thing that they have done. And I understand that at some point we have to deal with the individuals that have been here and have grown roots to a certain degree in the United States of America. And we'll talk about those people at a given time. But right now we're trying to remove those that have come over the last 2, 3, 4 years that are committing crimes here in the United States of America or have not grown those roots. It is illegal to come to the country illegally. Hence the word illegal. And sometimes you have to pay a price for that. The mainstream media has been determined to portray this guy as just, he's a Maryland. They called him a Maryland man for the better part of a week. He's not a Maryland man. He's an El Salvadorian who happened to reside illegally in Maryland. And it appears, according to his wife, he's a spouse abuser. I mean, she's the one that offered or wanted a protection order, an order of protection against him. The feds claim Abrego Garcia is a member of the MS-13 gang, that he was in the country illegally. His deportation went against a 2019 order blocking the feds' ability to remove him to El Salvador on the grounds that he was at risk of retaliation from rival gangs like Barrio 18. Well, if you have a rival gang, that by extension means that you are in a gang. And the gang that he was in was MS-13. So it's either one way or the other. He argued in 2019, you can't return me because Barrio 18 will whip me up because I was in this gang when I was back there. So you admitted in 2019 you were in a gang. That's how you got asylum. So you're either in a gang, which is designated a terrorist organization, and you have to leave the country, or you're not, and you lied during your asylum claim, and you have to leave the country. Either way, you're leaving the country. Donna is next up. Donna, thank you for the call, and thank you for your wait. How are you?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I just have a question about these illegal kids, us paying for them to go to school. And I just don't know what the heck we're doing. Are their parents illegal? I mean, how is this happening? If they're illegal, why are we not deporting the kids, the parents? What's going on with all this? I don't have any kids in school, and, I don't have any kids at all. So I'm paying for, other people's kids to go to school, which is fine, but I sure as heck don't want to be paying for illegal kids to be going to school, and it's been happening way too long. We need to clean up our act.
Well, I would agree with you wholeheartedly, Donna. I can give you the background on the story, and I think maybe it's important to revisit that. And thank you. Keep listening on the radio. So, in 1982, we had an upsurge in the 1970s and early 1980s of illegal aliens coming into the United States of America, and we were utilizing illegal alien labor, and have been since then. Honestly, I mean, let's be realistic about it. Well. The Supreme Court heard a case, Plyler v. Doe, in 1982. It struck down a state statute out of the state of Texas which denied funding for education of undocumented immigrant children in the United States. And an independent school district's attempt to charge an annual tuition of $1,000 for students who were here illegally to compensate for state funding losses. In 1975, and I'll just give you the Wikipedia version of the history of this, okay? In 1975, Texas prohibited the use of state funds for the education of children who had not been legally admitted to the United States of America. The state policy also allowed schools to deny enrollment of any unauthorized child seeking to attend the school. In 1977, the Tyler Independent School District instituted a policy mandating that foreign-born students who were not considered to be legally admitted to the United States had to pay a tuition of $1,000. Under the school district's policy, children were considered, quote, legally admitted if they, one, possessed documentation showing that they were legally present in the United States, or two, federal immigration authorities confirmed they were in the process of securing such documentation. The Supreme Court ruled that the state statute was illegal and that the application of Plyler v. Doe has been limited to K through 12 schooling. Other cases involving illegal immigration reform and immigrant responsibility have allowed some states to pass statutes that deny illegal immigrant students eligibility for in-state tuition, scholarship, and enrollment at public colleges and universities. But this case is currently considered the quote-unquote law of the land since 1982. What we're trying to do is, in the state of Tennessee, is to pass laws that would challenge that opinion on the court or by the court. It was a 5-4 decision. It was not without controversy at the time. The illegal alien situation has only grown more dramatic and more costly since then. And it's about time that we revisited the case. So I hope that explains it to you, Donna. Sadly, the state of Tennessee is bound by this court case to educate students regardless of documentation. And I understand that the emotions run pretty high on this because you don't want to fault the children for the sins of the parents. But at some point, you have to draw a line in the sand. 53 after the hour on Super Talk. I'm going to start freaking out when I see cars rolling down the road in Nashville without drivers behind the wheel. I'm just here to tell you. That said, if you're freaking out, gentlemen, because you've lost energy, you've lost a spunk, you've lost motivation or drive, whether it's in the gym or, outdoor activities or work-related activities, or maybe it's bedroom activity that you're concerned with. If this has become a problem with you, gentlemen, it does not have to be. Tennessee Men's Clinic is here for you. They have several locations, 2 to be specific. One is in Cool Springs in the Franklin area. The other, the OG in Midtown. And they get it done for you. One of their qualified urologists will sit down with you, will walk you through the many different options that you have available to you, and will set a course of action that's going to repair that which has gone wrong. I mean, it's nothing wrong with you. It is a natural course of life that your testosterone goes down over time. If your T levels have done so, it could be impacting you in this way. Gentlemen, there's an easy way to make it right. And that way starts with a telephone call to Tennessee Men's Clinic. 615-208-9090. 208-9090 or TennesseeMen'sClinic.com. Tell them Murphy sent you to Tennessee Men's Clinic.
A judge accuses the Trump administration of contempt of court. Health and Human Services Secretary RFK Jr. speaks on the CDC report showing the autism rate is increasing. A DEA agent shoots and kills a drug suspect in Nashville. And NASA astronaut and Tennessee native Butch Wilmore having a whirlwind week. You'll hear from him coming up at 4 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Looking forward to that. That's a real astronaut. I have some fake astronauts to talk about in the 4 o'clock hour. Some not so real astronauts. Space tourists, we'll call them. Gayle King getting kind of sassy. You know, it's one thing for them to, it's one thing for them to call them crew, but now we're being told that if you say anything negative about them calling themselves astronauts now we're not allowed to call it a ride.
But that's what they did, right?
That's exactly what they did. But Gayle King says that you're being a sexist, Chris Webber, by saying that.
Okay. I've been called worse.
Chris Webber says, get back in the kitchen.
Give me a sandwich.
Yikes. We'll delve into that coming up in a moment. It is 4 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Four o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. And right now, a federal judge ruling that the executive branch acted in contempt of court over his order to turn around 2 planes carrying alleged Venezuelan gang members to El Salvador last month. ABC's Devin Dwyer says this could set up a lengthy legal battle.
Even though we expect the Trump administration to resist this contempt finding, they will challenge it. They will likely appeal it. It will likely go back to the U.S. Supreme Court. Every indication I have seen is that the Supreme Court will stand by Judge Boasberg if it gets there.
Meanwhile, the Department of Homeland Security says the Salvadoran man arrested in Maryland who was on one of those deportation flights, Kilmar Abrego Garcia, has a violent past. They posted to X court documents purporting to show Garcia's wife, who's been advocating for his return, filed for a domestic violence restraining order against her husband in 2021. And the judge in Garcia's case wants a discovery hearing in the next 2 weeks, but U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi standing her ground.
He was deported. They needed one additional step in paperwork, but now MS-13 is characterized as they should be, as an FTO, as a foreign terrorist organization. So he is not coming back to our country.
On the heels of the CDC report showing the rate of autism increasing, Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. says it's because of some environmental exposure into autism when these kids were 2 years old.
It's time for everybody to stop attributing this to this ideology of epidemic denial.
This CDC report from 14 states and Puerto Rico claims 1 in 31 children were diagnosed in 2022 with autism spectrum disorder. That's compared to about 1 in 36 in 2020 and 1 in 50 back in 2000. Here in Nashville, the Federal Drug Enforcement Agency says one of its agents shot and killed a suspect and took 2 other suspects into custody around 6 o'clock this morning. Channel 4 says it was at the Fairfield Inn and Suites Hotel on 29th Avenue North just as this employee was arriving to work.
When I come down the side road, everything was blocked off, and police, they were wearing bulletproof vests, DEA marked jackets. I knew it was serious.
The DEA says the suspect who died was a 36-year-old man. No one else was injured. Channel 4 says Metro Nashville Police leading the investigation into the shooting. Well, it's been a whirlwind week for NASA astronaut and Tennessee native Butch Wilmore. Last night, he tossed the first pitch at the Vols baseball game in Knoxville.
Well, I watched from Space Station last year during all the playoffs, or the end of the playoffs, and while they were in Omaha. I've took in every game that I could, but we have to have a certain type of coverage, KU-band coverage, so when I had it, I was watching. And so to actually watch the game, watch them win the national championship, and then be here now, it don't get no better. This is great.
Wilmore was at the state capitol today presenting the Tennessee flag he displayed on the International Space Station after technical issues extended what was supposed to be just a week-long mission to 286 days. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. All right, got a stalled vehicle blocking the right shoulder 40 westbound after Fessler's Lane. This is a semi, TDOT says, so everybody's got to get over for that. Then we've got a crash reported by police. It's on Bell Road, but it's right there at I-24, so that's backing everybody up trying to fast track to the interstate. Stalled vehicle on the left shoulder, 65 southbound past Harding Place. And in Antioch, police reporting a crash 24 eastbound at Harding Place. Traffic every 10 minutes, every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
It is Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I think we passed a budget in the General Assembly today. Believe that's the case. I am trying to get information about some of the breakdown because some of the news I'm getting is not good about budget cuts. I don't know if it's passed the House and the Senate. I think it got past the House. I've got a flare out for that.
Channel 4 says it passed both chambers.
Oh, well, there you go. Well, Ken Weaver's on top. Why don't I just ask Weaver first? Why don't I?
Well, because I may not be paying attention.
No, you're paying attention, my friend. You're paying attention to the news.
By the way, Nico Iamaleava. It's going to be a Bruin.
Well, there's trouble brewing.
Yeah, he's apparently signed with UCLA.
Nico Iamaleava. You know, I don't have to worry about saying his last name anymore.
Yeah.
Nico I'm a leaving is now going to go out to. See, I thought that was old. Nico I'm a leaving is packing it up and heading on out to Cali.
Gonna be a Bruin.
I hope he got more than $2 million because there's some taxes out there you're gonna have to pay on that money that you don't have to pay in the state of Tennessee. So
I think he's gonna have to clean the stalls in the ag department after practice.
Maybe so. But after we were being told that UCLA was off the table, but apparently they got back on the table at some point and
pop right back up there.
Well, I wish I wish Nico the best. I hope that.
I mean, he's a kid. He's a kid.
Well, Nico is listening to other people, right? I mean, and look, in all seriousness, kudos to the University of Tennessee. Kudos to Josh Heupel. I mean, will it hurt you on the field this year? Probably. Now, I don't know that that's the case. You might get a better quarterback in the transfer portal yourselves. It's my understanding that that Rashida kid over at Georgia decided to go. Did you see this? Went back into the.
Yeah, I saw that.
I mean, what are you doing? I mean, he's transferred like 3 times now.
Make up your mind. Come on.
I mean, yeah. I mean, right. I mean, this guy that where was he before he came to us? I don't even remember. I mean, but we were his third school in less than 3 years, and now he's leaving Georgia and entering the transfer portal again. Okay,
see ya.
But don't let the door hit you where the good Lord split you, as they say. And that's what most Tennessee fans are saying about Nico. I'm a leaving. So. We got to get a handle. I mean, look, I'm not breaking this down in any dramatic fashion because I don't pretend to know all the ins and outs. But college football did not want this. It was thrust upon them because the universities, they wanted to retain amateur status in their athletic programs. Some college players sued in court to say that they ought to be able to make exterior to the university, they ought to be able to make money on their name, image, and likeness. That is what NIL means, name, image, likeness. In other words, the courts determined that just because you're famous because of football doesn't mean that football can prevent you from making money on your name or your likeness. Does that make sense to everyone? The idea being that, Matt Murphy, as the starting quarterback of the University of Tennessee, and I declared on Facebook that I still have eligibility. I would have gone in. I mean, I'm available, y'all. Just give me a call. Oldest starting quarterback in the history of the SEC, right here on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I would last at least several plays.
Maybe not in a row, but.
Well, I was thinking, I almost said one play, but I feel like if we tried to establish the run, I could hand it off a couple of times.
You sure about that?
Yes, Chris. I could certainly. Could I take the snap? Have you ever? By the way, I've had one of these college long snappers snap me the ball like on a punt.
Yeah.
Do you know how fast those things are going?
Looks pretty fast.
It is it is hard to catch.
Hard to catch it. Yeah.
It's so fast. So
and it's rising, right?
Oh yeah. Oh no, it's zoom. Yeah. It's going up, and you gotta eyeball it, and then they zip it back there, boy. Mm-hmm. And this guy was the backup snapper. He wasn't even the starting snapper. My God, you got beat out by somebody, and you're doing it that fast?
Do you have one in the transfer portal?
I mean, maybe we might need them. So I say that I could hand it off, but I don't even know that I could accept the snap from under center.
I think you'd be all right accepting the snap and handing it off. It's just what happens after that. I'm not sure you would want to do it again.
I would hand it off, and then I would immediately run as far away from what's going on as possible.
Gotcha.
It's
a smart move.
Yeah. No, in all seriousness, something's got to be handled, because the idea was that, Joe Schmo could go out here to the chicken factory and he could make some money, hawking chicken on the side and using his name, image, and likeness. Hey, my name is Nico, or hey, my name is whatever, Gunner Stockton for the chicken factory. And I think you should go out to the Athens, Georgia chicken factory and get yourself some chicken. Here's $1,000. But what immediately happened, sadly, was that these boosters created these what are called collectives. And they pool all their money together, and the university supposedly has nothing to do with it, right? Wink, wink, nudge, nudge, nothing to do with it. We can't control it. And before you know it, you've got players making millions of dollars for doing nothing. So that wasn't the spirit of name, image, likeness to begin with. Well, you put that together with the transfer portal, and you've got players who are empowered to move about the country at their will because you can't prevent them from transferring at this point. I mean, literally what you had was, and I don't know that Nico did this, but you've had players doing this, that you have the winter transfer portal and the spring transfer portal. And there have been players that negotiated with collectives, contracts, if you will, over the winter transfer portal because say it's the Tennessee Volunteer Collective, whatever they call the collective. And they were like, hey, we'll pay you $100,000 to stay at Tennessee. Don't go anywhere else. Don't get in the transfer portal. Stay at Tennessee. We'll give you something to do for $100,000. And the kid says, okay, all right, good deal. And they get their little agent to sign off on it. Well, they don't play a snap of football. They don't go to a single practice between the winter transfer portal and the spring transfer portal. And by the time the spring transfer portal rolls around, suddenly they want to renegotiate the contract that they just negotiated in the winter. And there's nothing that these collectives can do about it because they'll just waltz out of the door and go to another school that'll pay them. Something's got to be done, folks. The concept of amateur athletics in college football, I mean, I understand that we were always kind of closing our eyes to what was really going on behind the scenes. But at the very least, they had to work for it. Now, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. Hey, I do know this. One of our great callers and good friends, Mr. Jimmy, is on the line, and he is calling about something or another. Hey, Mr. Jimmy, how are you, buddy?
Getting older by the minute and younger by the day and smarter by the day.
Glad to hear that, Mr. Jimmy. You hadn't called me in a while. How you doing?
Well, I tried to call, and then it's a very long time before anybody answers. So I've had to hang up several times, and then y'all just automatically hung the phones up.
Well, I apologize for that, Mr. Jimmy. Well, thankfully we got you on the line today. What's on your mind?
Well, I heard on the news where our buddy Wink Martindale died yesterday.
91 years old, Mr. Jimmy.
Yeah, he was about 5 years older than me.
You remember old Wink?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I remember him when he first started. He was playing records there in Memphis, and then he went from there to announcing high school football games and then college games. Then he, I think he got he went to Days of Our Lives, a soap opera show during the day. Then he went from that to a quiz show on TV, Domino's or something like that.
I remember Wink Martindale, Mr. Jimmy, from his time as the host of Tic Tac Doe. Remember that? It was like a tic tac toe kind of show. He also did a show called High Rollers. I just remember him as a game show host. I got a chance to interview him. I talked to him about his experiences with Elvis Presley back in the day. I got a chance to do that maybe probably 15 or 20 years ago. You know, he was originally. You know what town he was born in, Mr. Jimmy?
No, someplace in California, I think.
No, he's born in Jackson, Tennessee.
Oh, is that where?
Yes, sir.
Well, he was in Memphis when I met him, talked to him, when I was in high school. We'd go over there to the football stadium and razz him up a little bit. He'd give us his finger and cuss at us a little bit. That was back when we were in high school.
Well, he'd give you the finger?
Yeah.
Oh. My goodness. Well, yeah, he went apparently he went to Memphis State and hosted a morning show over there in Memphis while he was a college student over there.
Yeah. Well, let's see. The last game that I saw him at that he announced was Memphis State and Ole Miss. At that time, they had Archie Manning was playing for Ole Miss, and there was James Earl Wright was the quarterback from Memphis State, and Memphis State Bulldogs. James Earl Wright was from Oxford, Mississippi. I don't know what he was doing playing for Memphis when he should have been playing for Ole Miss.
Well, that's a good question. Well, we're going to miss old Wink Martindale. He was a good one. I mean, we're losing them all. We lost Chuck. I mean, look, these are game show hosts from my childhood, Mr. Jimmy. We got Chuck Woolery's gone. Wink Martindale's gone.
Yeah, I guess we're all getting older.
Well, I think I told you when we got together in Shelbyville, Mr. Jimmy, that my grandpa always said, remember what I told you? He's always said, getting old's hell, but it beats Plan B. Well, it's good to hear from you, Mr. Jimmy, and you keep listening and keep calling us, okay?
All righty.
All right.
We'll talk to you next time.
Yes,
Bye.
sir. Hey, Mr. Jimmy, before you go, how's your house? Yeah. How's everything at the house working out? Everybody good?
Yeah.
Okay.
We're going to be moving after the 4th of July up to Lebanon, I think.
Okay.
We went to church up there to a big church there in Lebanon.
But that's World Outreach Church, I bet.
Greg Lot's church.
Oh, yes, sir. I think that is that World Outreach? I don't know if that's.
I think so.
I think so, yeah.
No.
Well, Miss Jimmy, I'm glad you're doing okay, and let us know what we can do for you, and thank you for giving us a call. Mr. Jimmy, good to hear from him. 20 minutes after the hour. We'll hear from someone not so good, Gail King. She wants to let everybody know that if you call what happened to her this week a ride, you are a sexist. I'll play that audio for you next on Super Talk. There's no other way to put it, gentlemen. Losing your hair stinks. I mean, it's a crapshoot. I mean, should you cut it all off? Should you just go bald naturally? Maybe you should do something about it. Maybe if you've noticed a little hair loss or if you're noticing hair on the comb or whatnot, you need to get to PAI Medical, the We Grow Hair people. They're the one and only that I would recommend in our community and all across Tennessee. They have the ARTIS robotic FUE procedure, the only one in Tennessee that has it. Multi-unit hair grafting transplant that can give you 2 times the hair in one procedure. They also have the fast-acting 45-minute laser treatment for men and for women. I've engaged in these treatments. It's a series of treatments. It's non-invasive. It's like remember the ladies used to see with the dryer that the dryer would go over their hair. Well, this time it's a laser that is promoting hair growth, and they can explain it all to you at PAI Medical. It's a wonderful modern technology that helps promote and stimulate hair growth in your hair. Backed by the only company that I trust to help my thinning hair, We Grow Hair. Call them today at 615-376-6010. 376-6010 or go to wegrowhair.com. For a free consultation right now, schedule that appointment. wegrowhair.com or 376-6010. Hello, friends. It's Matt Murphy, and Men of Valor needs you now more than ever. And Men of Valor needs volunteers. They need the donations that are so vital to fund what they do within the prison system in the state of Tennessee. It is vital because they turn a recidivism rate that at times is up to 70% to less than 15%. That's the graduate rate of recidivism at Men of Valor. That's an incredible percentage. They equip men with the tools and resources they need to succeed upon being released, including housing, food, clothing, transportation, valid identification, employment, recovery groups, counseling, mentoring, just to name a few of the programs that they engage in at Men of Valor. They've got a campus in Nashville, a campus in Knoxville, and they look for your support. It's a wonderful organization that helps benefit our communities, and they turn takers into givers within our community. Will you give today? Go to movministry.com to find out how you can help. movministry.com. Tell them Matt Murphy sent you to Men of Valor.
Well, the White House just came out swinging after Homeland Security released court documents. It says show that man arrested in Maryland and deported to El Salvador has a violent history. We'll tell you about it at 4:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Yes, sir, indeed. Mr. Ken Weaver in News Closet B, Chris Weber behind the glass, Matt Murphy in Studio A on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Global Vision Church was the one that we were talking about.
Yes. Yeah.
Greg Locke.
Yeah, I wanted to correct that.
And in Lebanon. Murfreesboro is the location of World Outreach. That is Alan Jackson's.
Pastor Jackson, yeah.
Pastor Jackson's church. So I apologize for getting that wrong. Love you, Mr. Jimmy, and appreciate your telephone call. CBS host Gayle King is annoyed. She's annoyed and has responded to the backlash over the Blue Origin space flight, suggesting that the all-female crew was being held to a different standard than men who have been to space. The talk show host and BFF of Oprah was a part of a historic flight that also carried Blue Origin founder Jeff Bezos' fiancée, Lauren Sanchez, pop star Katy Perry, film producer Carrie Ann Flynn, NASA rocket scientist Aisha Bowe, and civil rights activist Amanda Nugent. I may be pronouncing some of these names wrong. I don't care. Is it Nugent?
Probably
what?
Win.
Nguyen?
Nguyen, yeah.
Okay. The rocket landed safely, as we now know, after a roughly 10-minute flight, and Gayle feels like she's being treated unfairly, as many of us are referring to it as a ride. Here's what Gayle had to say this morning on CBS Morning News.
This is what bothers me, because I've certainly read some of the things online coming from people that I know, that I like, that I consider friends. And this is what I would say to that. Space is not an either or, it's a both and. And because you do something in space doesn't mean you're taking anything away from Earth. And what you're doing in space is trying to make things better here on Earth. What Blue Origin wants to do is take the waste here and figure out a way to put it in space to make our planet cleaner.
What is this woman talking about?
Space trash?
What? What? So, I mean, it just feels like we played the Katy Perry clip the other day where she's like, it's love. It's all about doing. What's my takeaway? Love. It's love. Oh, it's all about love. It's like, what? Y'all were space tourists. Nobody is hating on you. If I were given the ability to do it, or if I had the expendable income to do it, I would do it. I mean, so you can accuse us of being a little jelly if you want to, but I think y'all are trying to make a little more of this than is there.
I mean, Jeff Bezos has so many ideas, and the people that are working there are really devoted and dedicated to making our planet a better place. That's number one. Number two, have you been?
No, ma'am, I haven't been. I don't have hundreds of thousands of dollars of expendable income to go into space. Otherwise, I could go too, lady. The only thing that it took for you to go to space was a damn checkbook. How dare you lecture me?
But, Brother Murphy, that was historic.
Oh, boy. It's like you didn't get picked. The best people in the world get to go. Gayle King, you're one of them. Go. And that's not what happened. You cut a check. I don't. Oh, Lord, have you been? If you haven't been, then don't talk to me. I don't have the money to go. Now, maybe, here's what I'm hoping space travel will become. Remember when those huge, we called them huge at the time. They were like 55-inch, big screen, flat screen televisions came out. This is probably 15, 20 years ago, maybe 20 years ago now. And they were like $8,000. The first flat screen TVs, which the first flat screen TVs were like that thick. They were like 4 or 5 inches thick.
Yep.
But
I've still got one. Still works beautifully.
I just lost my Sony.
That's what mine is.
I bought my Sony in 2008.
I think I had to beat by 1 year.
And it was pretty good. It was pretty thin. It was right before the quote unquote smart TV technology.
I got a little fat Samsung.
Do you now?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Now there's I think I saw a TV. There's a TV out that is like thin. I mean, it is like Oh, it is insanely thin. It's ridiculously thin. Well, when they first came out, when those flat screens first came out, they were like $5,000.
Yeah.
They were ridiculous. Now I can go to the Walmarts or the Costco's, and I can get a 60-inch television for, I bet you, certainly less than $400.
Yeah, I bet you can too.
Less than $400.
Maybe less than $300.
Maybe less than $300. So I'm hoping that's the way space travel will go. More on this in a moment. More Gayle King. She's got more things to say about you calling it a ride. You jerks, you sexist. That is on the way after the news on Super Talk.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast and traffic coming up in 5 minutes. Boy, the White House coming out swinging today after Homeland Security released court documents, it says, show the man arrested in Maryland and deported back to El Salvador has a violent past. Domestic violence orders of protection filed against him by his wife. Here's Caroline Levitt.
Set all of that aside, the basic fact that he was illegally inside our country and had a lawful deportation order made him subject to removal back to his home country of El Salvador. And if he ever ends up back in the United States, he would immediately be deported again. Nothing will change the fact that Abrego Garcia will never be a Maryland father. He will never live in the United States of America again.
Now, the federal judge overseeing Garcia's deportation case now pushing the Justice Department to testify under oath, wants an expedited discovery hearing in the next 2 weeks. Meanwhile, the chief judge at the federal district court in D.C. says he believes there's grounds to hold the Trump administration officials in criminal contempt for not turning around those deportation flights last month. Stephen Portnoy.
The judge says the administration's conduct amounts to a willful disregard of a legally binding order. He directed that planes be turned around, and the administration refused. Judge James Boasberg now says if the government doesn't claim it has legal custody of the Venezuelan men, allowing them to challenge their removal even while still overseas, he'll call for testimony to determine which individuals should be held in contempt. He says he might even appoint an attorney to prosecute the charges if the Justice Department won't.
And right now in Tennessee, the Tennessean put out a news alert that says the ACLU has filed a lawsuit against the Rutherford County School District for removing books from school libraries that were deemed inappropriate for children. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. Berry Hill got a accident on the right shoulder. TDOT says this is 440 eastbound right before I-65. Then in Millersville, a stalled vehicle partially blocking the on-ramp, 65 northbound from Louisville Highway. Clarksville got a crash reported by the Highway Patrol. Going to be 24 westbound right before MLK Parkway. Then in Bellevue, police reporting a crash, 40 westbound at Old Hickory Boulevard West. Cool Springs, Williamson County. TDOT reports a crash 65 southbound at Moores Lane. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Grace Point Healthcare is affordable, convenient, and comprehensive medicine delivered the old-fashioned way. They are a direct pay primary care provider. What that means is primarily that you know exactly what it's going to cost you, and oftentimes you are charged significantly less than otherwise would be in terms of dealing with your insurance companies. That's me talking. Friends, I've experienced some of the headaches that come with dealing with insurance. And oftentimes insurance puts itself in between you and your doctor, and that's the last thing you want. By paying by the visit or enrolling in the Smart Care plan, you'll always know that you're getting exceptional care at an affordable price. The Smart Care plan is $69 a month. It includes free office visits throughout the course of the year, plus basic labs and diagnostic testing. No long wait times at Grace Point Healthcare. And obviously, if you are too sick to come to the office, what do? Well, you don't have to worry about it because they do house calls at Grace Point. They'll treat the whole body as well. They don't believe in treating symptoms. They're going to treat the root cause of issues, and they deal with you on a personal level. You're not just a number. You are a person. You're a member of the community, and they treat you as such. Veteran-owned practice. I love that as well. At Grace Point, they want to see you. They have appointments available, 599-6868, 599-6868. Grace Point Healthcare, modern medicine delivered the old-fashioned way.
Did you know you're overpaying for your health and wellness products?
With over 20 company-owned brands offering its members vitamins, supplements, wellness, and skincare products, you're able to save up to 70% off retail.
Members Nutrition can't change your life, but we can change the way you live.
Hey, folks, Matt Murphy here, talking about the Save the Date event that is the Nashville at Glock Store's 5th annual open house. Friends, it is Saturday, May 31st, and I can't wait for this. We obviously are finalizing details about everybody that's going to be there, but here's what I know. I know I'm going to be there. Chris Hand is going to be there. Dan Mandis will be there, and I want you there as well. Plus, if last year is any indication, it's going to be a tremendous event with a lot of giveaways. Last year, it's my understanding they gave away over $15,000 worth of great gear. Things like Red Dot Optics, I think 25 or so Red Dot Optics were given away. It culminated with the big giveaway. It was a customized Glock worth $1,800, and all you had to do was sign up at the Glock Store's open house. You can tour the facility, see the incredible deals that they have at the Glock Store, and the deals will never get better than on open house day. It is from 10 until 2, and I want you to save the date, Saturday, May 31st at the Glock Store. Go to glockstore.com or shoot270.com for more information about the retail side. And, of course, there's the Shoot 270 rooms. Neverlane's Rooms, the Glock Store, minutes away from the airport, worth the drive from anywhere. Tell them I sent you to the Glock Store. You know, I'm of the general belief that in order for something to be more than a ride, in order for you to be a crew member, you have to actually do something. You have to have an assigned duty. You know, Ken Weaver is assigned the duty of delivering the news twice an hour or when it breaks, and he does a fabulous job at it. And Ken Weaver is a part of the crew. Matt Murphy, I'm assigned the duty of going blah, blah, blah between the commercials and keeping you here between one commercial and the next. And I try to do my dead level best. Chris Weber holds it all together, and he pushes the buttons and makes sure that everything that comes out of our speakers sounds as good as possible. We're all crew members. You're assigned a duty as well. Give us a call, opine as you will, but for some of you, you're just along for the ride, and that's okay too. I don't begrudge you that. Gayle King does not want to be called a rider because, my goodness, it diminishes the momentous nature of the occasion of her 11-minute trip to space.
Making our planet a better place. That's number one. Number two, have you been? Have you been? If you've been and you still feel that way after you come back, please let's have a conversation. Number three, please don't call it a ride. That is not a friggin' ride. Whenever a man goes up, You have never said to an astronaut, boy, what a ride. You know, we duplicate.
Ma'am. So when Blue Origin went up, it might have been the first time that they took civilians, might have been the second trip. But I remember distinctly William Shatner went up on Blue Origin. You know, William Shatner, who is now, I mean, he is a beloved figure in Americana, and he is, I want to say 90-something. Excuse me, I just had to sneeze there. My apologies. William Shatner went on a ride. That's Captain Kirk. And the last time I checked, he was a guy. But Gail says, don't call it a ride.
If you've been and you still feel that way after you come back, please let's have a conversation. Number 3, please don't call it a ride. That is not a friggin' ride. Whenever a man goes up, you have never said to an astronaut, boy, what a ride. You know, we duplicate.
All right, well, first off, why are these people acting like there have not been plenty of female astronauts? There was just a female astronaut that the Biden administration stuck in space for 9 months, along with our own Butch Wilmore, whom you're hearing from on Super Talk 99.7 WTN in the news. So I don't understand why we're pretending that Sally Ride wasn't Sally Ride was an astronaut. Of course there have been female astronauts. The first civilian ever to go to space was, remember, Krista McAuliffe. And sadly, that ended in disaster with the Challenger explosion in 1986. So I don't know what you're talking about when you say you're acting as if other women have not gone up. If you train to be an astronaut, you're an astronaut. You did not train to be an astronaut.
Call it a ride. That is not a friggin' ride. Whenever a man goes up, you have never said to an astronaut, boy, what a ride. You know, we duplicated the same trajectory that Alan Shepard did back in the day, pretty much. No one called that a ride. It was called a flight. It was called a journey, because a ride implies that it's something frivolous or something that's lighthearted.
Ma'am, what was it? For the life of me, I don't understand why they are so desperate to turn this into something that it wasn't. I mean, good on y'all. That's wonderful. It was all females. That's great, too. By the way, equality is what it is, and women can go up just like men as long as you got. I mean, they don't care what sex you are. They just want to know how much money you have in order to go up on the Blue Origin. So I don't. Why are you trying to turn this into something? What was it if it was not frivolous? What did you accomplish? Well, you got to go to space. Congratulations. Katy Perry got to go to space. Jeff Bezos' fiancée got to go to space. Some of these other women got to go to space. I think that's great. I'm not against any of that. I just don't understand why you're trying to make this into something that is not.
Duplicated the same trajectory that Alan Shepard did back.
By the way, Alan Shepard was the first American man or first American at all into space. There was a tremendous amount of danger and uncertainty when Alan Shepard went into space. I don't think what you did is akin to what Alan Shepard did. I mean, maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
Back in the day, pretty much. No one called that a ride. It was called a flight. It was called a journey, because a ride implies that it's something frivolous or something that's lighthearted. There was nothing frivolous about what we did. And the machine that we were on, and what it took for the people to get that machine up and running, to get us up and get us back down safely. So, you know, I'm very disappointed and very saddened by it. And I also say this, what it's doing to inspire other women and young girls, please don't ignore that. I've had so many women and young girls reach out to me, and men too, by the way, men too, that say, wow, I never thought I could do that, but I see you doing it at this stage of my life. Who would have thunk it? Not me. And how inspired they are. This is what...
They're inspired to what? What did Gayle King do to earn this? I mean, if I'm to be generous, I would say, I mean, she's a television figure, a television presenter, I don't watch enough. I guess she's on CBS. I don't watch her show. I don't know if you would consider her a journalist or not. She is a television personality who had enough money to go. Now, I'm not certain that Jeff Bezos charged her or not, but so what the young people are learning, that if you have enough money that you can go into space. I think we already knew that. Gayle King did not. I mean, once again, I'm not trying to smack on the lady. I don't understand why they're trying to make this something that it's not. You went on a ride into space. You didn't drive the space vehicle. If Chris Webber and Ken Weaver and Matt Murphy get into Matt Murphy's truck and we go down I-24 to Murfreesboro, one of us will be driving. And the other two will be what? Will be riding. Is that casting aspersions at the other two people? Of course it isn't. John is in Gallatin with a thought on some of this. Hey, John, how are you?
Hey, Matt. How you going?
I'm well, John. I hope you are.
I am. I was going to wait till Friday to call there and Friday to ask this question, but I just couldn't resist. So I was just updating my resume and wondering if I could call myself a pilot now that I've flown in an airplane multiple times.
Well, I mean, let me ask you a few questions.
Okay.
Did you get in the plane?
I did.
Did the plane take off?
Yep.
Okay. Did the plane land?
Yep, landed today.
Were you at a different place when it landed than you were when you started?
Absolutely.
Congratulations, Pilot John. You're a pilot.
All right. I was hoping.
There you go, buddy.
No, much appreciated. Just wanted to bring some humor.
I love it. I absolutely love it. I mean, yeah, come on. I mean, and once again, I'm not entirely sure what we think we're accomplishing it. I mean, it was not frivolous. Okay, then if it wasn't frivolous, then what was it? Katy Perry had a few words to say about what it was. I had this earlier. I want to, I think, let me see if I can find it. Katy Perry. Oh, yeah. Here's Katy Perry. She says,
I just have to have a moment with the ground. Let me just...
There's Gayle King. She's kissing the ground.
For just a second. Thank you, Jesus.
All females. They're not a crew.
I feel super connected to love. So connected to love. I think this experience has shown me you never know how much love is inside of you, like how much love you have to give and how loved you are until the day you launch.
I've listened to that clip for the better part of 2 days, and I don't understand what she means. I'm not trying to be cute. It's all about love, and you never know how much love is inside of you and how much you are loved until you launch. What? I don't understand what you're saying. Oh, there's Oprah. Oprah's crying. Doesn't take much.
We've been friends since we were 21 and 22. And I have never been more proud of my friend than today.
Proud. She got into the thing and she went up in the thing and there you go. Oh, here's a Kardashian.
We're here to support our girlfriend and our
Jenner,
friends. And I never thought that we'd be talking to you from space launch. For sure. So this is a really unique experience, and we're just so honored.
Look, I'm glad that these people, these very, very rich people, got to go into space, but that's all it is. It's very, very rich people having the opportunity to do some space tourism, and nobody is begrudging them that. Everybody's happy for them. I don't understand why they're trying to turn it into some sort of global mission. What was your mission? Your mission was to go into space, experience weightlessness, enjoy space for a minute or two, and come back down to Earth. Mission accomplished. Mission accomplished. We'll get to your calls momentarily on Super Talk. Defend Systems is for active shooter and physical security expertise. It's a dangerously developing world, and friends, I want to tell you, hope is not a plan. I say it all the time when talking about Defend Systems. A life safety and security consultation firm. They're based right here in Middle Tennessee. Their expertise is in active shooter response, workplace violence, site survey and threat assessment, emergency and intruder action plans, after-action rapid response medical training, and it's all customized to your facility. That sounds like a lot. Call Brink Fiddler today or talk to Brink or Gloria or Tracy or Adam or one of the crew at Defend Systems, and they will boil it down for you. If you're a decision maker at a place of business, at a church, a school, any place that people gather, you need Defend Systems. It is unlikely that you will have to utilize their expertise in your life, but the percentages are not zero. That means, as I say, hope is not a plan. It is time to get trained with Defend Systems. Go to defendsystems.com. That's defendsystems.com or 615-236-6484. 236-6484. Tell them Matt Murphy sent you to Defend Systems.
The White House is not backing down on the Salvadoran man deported from Maryland. We're going to let you hear some of what Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt had to say today about an order of protection against the man. Coming up at 5 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
And listen, liberals, y'all brought this on yourselves. Y'all decided that y'all wanted to turn Garcia into a poster child of how Donald Trump's being so awful regarding illegal immigration. Okay. Well, if he's going to be the poster child, then we're going to look into his past history. We're going to look into the fact as to whether or not he was an MS-13 gang member. We're going to look into his past history as to what he's done in his life while he was here in the United States of America. And apparently, at some point, he was trying to beat up on his wife. Apparently. So that's on the way at 5 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN, 4:57 right now. Ben is in Franklin. Hey, Ben, how are you?
Matt Murphy, Ben McCain here. How you doing, buddy? I met you with Jack Johnson at the Capitol a few years ago. We took a picture together. You're a handsome feller.
You're a liar, and the truth ain't in you. I don't know about all of that, Ben.
Hey, listen, Gayle King comparing herself to Alan Shepard, that makes me want to barf, my friend. Goodness.
I mean, yeah, it's like me comparing myself to Henry Ford because I own an automobile.
It's sickening. It's sickening. It really is. And, you know, Gayle King and Nora O'Donnell used to do that show with Charlie Rose in the morning on CBS. They were filthy. I mean, they were filthy. And Charlie Rose is the one that they ended up kicking out. I mean, I think they should have kicked them all out. You know, it's just it made me want to gag. Say, by the way, I want to say about Wink Martindale. Did you know that his real name was Winston? Did you know that? He had a friend that called him Wink, and we knew. My brother and I knew Wink. We did a TV show in Los Angeles, and Wink and Sandy, his wife, would come on, and he was a gem of a guy, just a golden guy. I loved him. He did those Mountain Dew commercials. He was just a wonderful guy, and more than 20 game shows, I believe. And he had a #1 record with Deck of Cards.
That was was that the spoken word deal?
That is correct, sir.
Yeah,
that is correct.
I remember that. I heard it. I was not around when it came out, but I have heard it. Ben, no, that's great. No, Wink Martindale was one of the old school fellas. I mean, he was one of the old school guys. Bob Barker, Wink Martindale. That who was that fella? My favorite, he doesn't get the credit he deserves, was the guy, it was the panel show. Oh, Richard Dawson was on there all the time.
Oh, yeah. What was that called?
Betty White was on there.
Love that one. Yeah.
Hollywood Squares?
No.
Match game.
Yeah. Match game. It was all double entendre, Weaver. All double entendre. You know, Bright Betty goes into the grocery store, and Bright Betty heads to the produce department, and Bright Betty grabs what? Or, I'm making it up.
It was Gene Wood, I think, was
had the big,
the
long
host, yeah.
He and Bob Barker had those big, long, skinny microphones. One of those when I was a kid.
I wish we had those.
We could get some. I'm going to look those up while you do the news on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Five o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. And the White House is not backing down on that Salvadoran man deported from Maryland. Here's Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt.
Nothing will change the fact that Abrego Garcia will never be a Maryland father. He will never live in the United States of America again.
This after Homeland Security released court documents showing his wife filed for an order of domestic violence protection against her husband in 2021 for 2 alleged incidents. Leavitt presented Patty Morin, whose daughter Rachel was killed in an unrelated incident by an undocumented migrant from El Salvador.
It's more than just politics or votes or just anything. It's about national security, protecting Americans, protecting our children.
And she had this to say about her U.S. Senator Chris Van Hollen traveling to El Salvador to try to win Garcia's release.
A senator from Maryland who didn't even acknowledge or barely acknowledged my daughter and the brutal death that she endured, leaving her 5 children without a mother and now a grandbaby without a grandmother, so that he can use my taxpayer money to fly to El Salvador to bring back someone that's not even an American citizen.
Yeah, Senator Van Hollen says his attempts to meet with Abrego Garcia in El Salvador today were rebuffed. Well, the DEA says shots were fired during a drug enforcement operation here in Nashville around 6 o'clock this morning. It was at the Fairfield Inn and Suites Hotel on 29th Avenue North.
There was one agent involved in the shooting and one suspect. There were multiple suspects. One was struck by gunfire.
Because we saw people in handcuffs being let off. So
there were additional suspects that were not involved in the shooting.
36-year-old suspect died. 2 others arrested. No one else hurt. Metro Police Department, the lead investigator of the shooting. Here in Nashville, another win for Mayor Freddie O'Connell's transit plan, Choose How You Move, to be funded by a sales tax increase. The Tennessee Court of Appeals now says that plan can be legally implemented, upholding a lower court's ruling against the committee to stop an unfair tax lawsuit. But the judges did say money from that half-cent sales tax increase cannot be used to buy land for housing and parks. Eating too quickly may not only give you indigestion, it can contribute to weight gain. So slow down, says ABC Sherry Preston.
British scientists say you're eating too fast if you typically finish a regular-sized meal in less than 20 minutes. That means you could have a higher risk of obesity, swallow more air that leads to bloating, or have unchewed pieces of food lodged in your esophagus. Expert advice: put down your phone, turn off the TV, and focus on the meal itself. Sherry Preston, ABC News.
Didn't know phones could make you fat? That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. All right, I'm seeing one crash on the interstates. Looks like, actually, it's not even a crash. It's a stalled vehicle, partial lane blockage. That's going to be 24 westbound right there at I-440. Otherwise, we've just got some heavy traffic, lots of brake tapping going on, especially if you are northbound 65 from 440 up to the South Loop downtown. And then eastbound 440 It is especially backed up between 65 and 24. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Hello, friends. It is the Matt Murphy Radio Show underway for another hour. It is 5:07. Glad to have you with us. If you're just getting off work, thank you for joining us for the time in your automobile. Maybe you're at your place of business still. We appreciate you. Perhaps you're already at home. Thanks so much. Give us a little bit of time, and we'll try to educate you on what's going on in the world, what's going on in the news, and entertain you on the ride home or at home or wherever you might be. Ken Weaver's back in the newsroom. Chris Weber is behind the glass. My name, again, is Matt Murphy, and here... joining us from the Tennessee is Cameron Smith.
And the crowd goes wild. Or just, actually, it's kind of quiet.
As they do.
Mm-hmm.
Please clap.
No. That I will not do. Thanks, Jeb.
One of the best clips of all time. Please clap.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so good.
Don't know what he was thinking. Like, why would you ever ask people to clap for you? It is so creepy.
It's no good. It's no good. We'll get to your calls momentarily. Several of you, we were discussing right before the top of the hour news there, Cameron, before you sashayed your way into the studio. Gayle King, who wants everyone to know that it was not a ride that she took, and how dare you diminish what happened, the significance. To suggest that it was a ride is to suggest, well, you know what? I shouldn't say it. I should let you hear it. And for those who missed it, this is Gayle King insisting that what happened was not a frivolous moment or a frivolous event. Let's see.
Have you been? If you've been and you still feel that way after you come back, please let's have a conversation. Number 3, please don't call it a ride. That is not a friggin' ride. Whenever a man goes up, you have never said to an astronaut, boy, what a ride. You know, we duplicated the same trajectory that Alan Shepard did back in the day, pretty much. Mm-hmm. No one called that a ride. It was called a flight. It was called a journey, because a ride implies that it's something frivolous or something that's lighthearted. There was nothing frivolous about what we did and the machine that we were on, and what it took for the people to get that machine up and running, to get us up and get us back down safely. So, you know, I'm very disappointed and very saddened by it. And I also say this.
No. We're not going to let you say that. We don't have the time for all of that. So don't call it a ride, Cameron. I don't know. What would you mind describing to the people currently listening to the radio show on Super Talk how important this event was in the history of mankind? Because Gayle King wants everyone to know that it wasn't frivolous.
Well, some celebrities went to space. You see.
Right. And that is the end of that sentence.
That's the end of it. That's all I got.
I mean, for the life. I mean, I don't, good for them. I don't understand why they're desperate to make it. We were talking last hour, why you're so desperate to make it something that it's not. It's wonderful. You have the means, and you have the fame and the fortune to go to space.
Well,
Good for you.
I just thought Donald Trump's really taking this immigration stuff really seriously. He's sending celebrities out into space now.
Get them out of there. Get them out of there. And oh, by the way, as I said last hour, William Shatner, a.k.a. Captain Kirk.
Still alive.
Still alive in his 90s. I'm going to guess 94. Looking good at 94. I'm guessing 94.
Wow, you nailed it.
Did I?
94.
Wow.
Bingo, baby. I know my old entertainers. Thank you. I'm going to guess Ken Weaver, 48.
You're wrong by 20 years.
Ken Weaver, 28.
Yes, sir.
William Shatner's still alive, and he was one of the first when they went up. I think he might have been on the Bezos trip, but I'm not sure.
He was.
Was he on the Bezos?
Yes.
So Jeff Bezos went up in the Blue Origin, and William Shatner was. And guess what they went up on? A ride.
Yeah.
It was a ride into space. They got into a vehicle. It shot them into space. They came back down, and when they got down, they said, thank goodness, what a ride. And, oh, by the way, I'm pretty sure that astronauts like Alan Shepard and John Glenn and all those other, Mercury 7 astronauts, I guarantee you when they went into space, you know what they said? Boy, what a ride.
Yeah. I just don't – the level of discontent with people not saying the right things about a thing you did, I think our culture's doomed. Like, get over it. You had fun. You went into space. That's neat.
Yeah, that's good for you. Why does it it's not some earth-shattering thing.
When you've been, Matt, then
you can talk to me.
You can talk. Okay.
Like, how dare you even question it if you've not been? Well, I can go if I got $200,000 lying around, I guarantee you I can go to space.
I mean, I thought it cost more than that.
I mean, maybe it does. I don't know.
We need more billionaire friends. You know what I mean?
Why don't you ask your little artificial intelligence over there how much it costs to go to space? Do we need more? Yes, I would agree with you. The Matt Murphy Show needs more billionaire friends.
Obviously.
So give us a ring. If you are a billionaire and you want to call us up, I won't make you hold like I've made Jim and Franklin hold. Hey, Jim.
Hey, Matt. Yeah, I just think that astronaut Gayle King is a little bit off because she quoted Alan Shepard saying that she took a ride. She didn't take a ride. Well, I got to say this, and you can look it up on YouTube. It's a famous quote. When he launched, he was the first U.S. astronaut, 1961, Freedom 7, went 150 miles up compared to Gale's 62. And the first things that he said, his memorable first words uttered by Alan Shepard upon being rescued were, "Boy, what a ride, what a ride." So if it's good enough for Alan Shepard to be a ride, I think someone needs to be eating some astronaut crow.
Oh, boy. I've got to, not that I doubt you, Jim, but I got to look this up. So his words as he came out of the capsule were, what a ride, what a ride.
What a ride, what a ride. Yep.
Well, Gayle King says that Alan Shepard was wrong.
Well, hey.
That's awesome. I love that. Thank you, Jim, for the call. What a ride, what a ride. Mm-hmm. How much does it cost, Cameron?
It did not tell me. It didn't want to tell me.
I guess if you, much like membership to Augusta National, if you have to ask how much it costs, then you probably can't afford it.
Yeah. I'm going to just ask the Google machine. A short suborbital flight on Virgin Galactic can cost around $450,000.
Holy shnikes. So they went up 62 miles, and Alan Shepard went up 150 miles, and yet Gayle King compares herself to Alan Shepard, saying that it's not a ride, don't call it a ride. You didn't call Alan Shepard's a ride, and apparently Alan Shepard called it a ride when he came down.
Blue Origin has yet to publicly disclose their prices, but they require a $150,000 deposit. That's just to hold a seat.
So I assume all of these people, celebrities or no, they had to pay. I mean, I'm assuming that Gayle King had to pay.
Probably.
I mean, but
are they all friends of Jeff Bezos' fiance?
I mean, I would guess that the fiance did not have to pay. Bezos probably chipped in on that.
I don't know. He has some very interesting relational dynamics. He had another kid. I mean, he's trying to literally stave off population decline.
Are you confusing Bezos with Elon Musk?
I am. You're right. I am so old. Jeff Bezos is the Mr. Clean guy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Musk is the one that's having multiple children with multiple different.
I just saw
women.
the headline. He had another one.
Did he?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, and he can afford it.
He's like he wants to build a compound where all his baby mamas live.
He's practicing what he preaches. He's telling people that we are not in Western culture. We are not populating enough people.
He's
on
right,
the earth.
Incidentally, but that may not be the way to fix it. Just saying.
What, for him to single-handedly try to get it
by
going?
yourself?
Yeah, I mean, that's probably not a good way. Hey, you remember in Birmingham, you remember that city councilor, what was his name? Bill Johnson, who, this is actually a true story, folks. A prominent city councilor in the city of Birmingham went to New Zealand and to Australia and then came back home and got a divorce from his wife after being caught artificially inseminating multiple women in Australia and New Zealand against the bonds of matrimony, and he said that he couldn't help himself. This is a true story. This is a fascinating story. And then he eventually divorced his wife and went back to Australia because he said he wanted to have at least 40 more children. True story.
And that's how he put it, against the bonds of matrimony?
Well, I mean, that's the way that, I don't think he put it that way, Ken, but that's the way that it was put. Against the bonds of matrimony, he was, I don't think he had kids in his marriage, and he offered up his equipment to various women in Australia that needed.
Well, he's just being kind.
You don't hear this story anywhere else.
I'm still wondering.
Dan Mandis ain't talking about this. I guarantee you that.
I don't think Dan Mandis could say what you just said. Like he would blush. He could not handle it.
That's a true story. His name was Bill Johnson. He was a Birmingham city councilor, and y'all can look him up.
Yeah, I'm looking that up right now.
I mean, I
against the bonds of matrimony.
I just want to know what Space Coach looks like. So we'll get you into orbit, but you're going to be real crammed in there. You know, like this is probably first class.
Yeah, what were they? 7 people?
Right.
I guess 7 women. You know, probably only about 6 dudes could go at a time.
Right.
Because the guys are bulkier,
And
bigger.
imagine there's a baby.
You man spread.
Yeah.
You know, you man spread on the space flight.
Can you imagine going to outer space and there's like a little kid kicking the back of your seat?
Yeah, come on, kid. Hey, you know what? I don't have a problem with people leaning their seat back, but maybe on a space flight it might be a little weird.
If I'm going to space, man, and the kid's kicking me, I'm real upset.
Yes, Mr. Weber.
By the way, guys, I just wanted to clarify. Was it Jim? Is that who we were just talking to?
We were talking to Jim in Franklin.
Looked it up as a couple of front page headlines. The New York Daily News back in 1961. Big quotes on the front page. What a ride.
Well, that's awkward.
Also, let's see, the Daily Mirror front page, big quote. Boy, what a ride.
It's almost like she's uninformed.
Oh, listen. Okay, what was the quote? Say it again, Weber.
Boy, what a ride.
Number 2, have you been? Have you been? If you've been and you still feel that way after you come back, please let's have a conversation.
And number 3,
please don't call it a ride. That is not a friggin' ride. Whenever a man goes up, you have never said to an astronaut, boy, what a ride.
Oh,
she quoted it.
What a maroon.
That's so
Jim
awkward.
in Franklin, you get the gold star of the day, brother. The first American in space said, and I quote, what a ride. Gail King says, well,
Friggin' ride. Whenever a man goes up, you have never said to an astronaut, boy, what a ride. You know, we duplicated the same trajectory that Alan Shepard did back in the day, pretty much. No one called that a ride.
Pretty much.
It was
no one
Alan Shepard called it a ride.
Wow.
I wonder if anybody's going to call her out. I mean, we are. But
wow.
No, because we'll move on, because that's what we do.
I just
trajectory that Alan Shepard did back in the day, pretty much. No one called that a ride.
And her best friend Oprah was shedding tears beside her.
It just owns me. You said the front page of the Daily Mirror. Which one was it? Which publication?
New York Daily News and the Daily Mirror. Both.
The Daily News. What a ride. Nobody called that a ride.
Wow.
She's truly a maroon. I mean, what a maroon. Well, I guess you don't have to take an IQ test in order to go into space. Just bring your checkbook. It's 20 after the hour on Super Talk. Hello, friends. It's Matt Murphy. Let's talk about your food for just a moment. You know, you get to a point in your life, and, you know, for most of us, it's somewhere in your 20s or maybe in your 30s where you're like, you know what, I can't do the fast food game anymore. I need to up my food game. And when you do, you get a little better cut of meat. You know, you pay a little bit more for that steak. You pay a little bit more for that salmon. You pay a little bit more for the veggies at the farmer's market or whatnot. Well, if you're doing that and not upping your spice game, you're not truly upping your food game. And you up your spice game at Savory Spice. I've been saying this for a while. Savory Spice is just a different level of spices and seasonings and salts and exotic flavors and the standard cupboard fare that you've come to know and love. They've got it all, and it tastes better at Savory Spice. It simply tastes better at Savory Spice. Plus, I've mentioned this, that about a quarter of their inventory, they have lowered their prices on about 25% of inventory because the prices were lowered for them at Savory Spice, and they're going to pass those savings along to you. Go see Holly and David at Savory Spice. And remember, you up your food game by upping your spice game. You up your spice game in Franklin, just off the square at Savory Spice.
Court documents have surfaced, and the White House is pouncing on the narrative surrounding the man deported from Maryland to his home country of El Salvador. We'll let you hear some of that at 5:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
How do you spell shepherd? Did you give it to me?
S-H-E-P-A-R-D.
Yeah. Okay. So, okay. Well, I did not trust Cameron Smith. It's hurtful. Well, I didn't. So no H.
Yeah,
okay.
and one L. A-L-A-N.
Yes, I got that. Yes, I'm just tweeting this out. I'm posting this up on the X machine. Hit me up at Matt Murphy Show. Alan Shepard literally said, "What a ride!" after his launch into space. It was a national headline. What a dunderhead! What a maroon this Gayle King is. Donna has a thought on this, and then we're going to move on from it. We've got nincompoops in the news coming up, and I want to ask Cameron his thoughts on some of the activity surrounding this Garcia fella that the liberals want to make a national figure for stopping Donald Trump's deportation of illegal aliens. Donna, what's your thought?
Did she call herself an astronaut? And on Waters, I heard last night that the flight was only 10 minutes, so they didn't go too high.
No, only, just over 10, maybe a little closer to 11, 4 or so minutes of weightlessness in total in the flight. And it's my understanding they went up about 62 miles, which is some 90 or so less than Alan Shepard managed during his first flight.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Absolutely, Ms. Donna. Thank you for the telephone call, 615-737-9986 if you'd like to get involved. Sir, you and I are engaged in a podcast.
We are.
Called All the Best Words. And that one of those podcasts is dropping tonight at 7 o'clock. And in the recording of that podcast, you and I had a discussion a little about the difference between, why can't I remember the E word?
Effectuate.
Effectuate versus facilitate.
Mm-hmm.
Is Donald Trump and his administration effectively facilitating the return of Mr. Garcia?
No. It's hilarious because they're almost like, how can somebody use crayons and draw us a picture of how?
It's very hard.
How do you get a guy from El Salvador back to the United States?
Where is
never heard of
where it. Is Aleppo? Remember that?
Yes.
Where is El Salvador?
Right.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, and this is what's kind of hilarious. I get it. I also think that this is playing with fire in an area we probably don't need to. That there's ways to facilitate, which is what the Supreme Court has required, the Trump administration to facilitate Mr. Abrego Garcia being able to make his case that he was wrongfully detained and deported. I mentioned to you earlier today, how about a Zoom hearing? We do those type of things.
I thought it was an excellent idea. I stole it at the beginning of the show.
Yeah, I mean,
just pop up on Zoom.
That would be facilitating it. But instead, the Trump administration is literally acting as if they have no idea how to even get someone out of El Salvador. You know, forget the fact we're paying them, $6 million to keep detainees there. The president of El Salvador, sitting next to Trump, said, "What do you want me to do? Smuggle him back?"
Oh, that's right.
You try an airplane, maybe. I don't know.
I like the dynamic that America and Donald Trump, we're saying, well, El Salvador won't give them to us. And El Salvador is saying, well, America won't take them.
Right. And it's just silly. I mean, at this point, do the Zoom thing, have the hearing, but the salient point of due process rights do need to attach. I'm fine with Trump administration doing all sorts of enforcement of the law, making their legal arguments. But once we get into the process, and the Supreme Court's basically saying, hey, you got to give this guy a hearing. That has to happen.
Okay.
And that's it. And I don't know why this is so complicated or why the Trump administration wants to push back.
I think they're digging their heels in on the idea of bringing him back to American soil, and I get that.
Sure.
I love the idea, and I don't know if it's been considered, and if so, why it has not been taken up. I love the idea of doing a virtual hearing.
Yeah.
You know, get a judge in America, get him in front of a Zoom camera. All right, are you a El Salvadorian national? Are you part of a gang? Oh, you're not part of a gang? Okay, your asylum claim is revoked because you were never part of a gang, and that was part of your asylum claim. Good luck.
Yeah.
And goodbye.
And I still, as you and I have talked, I still just wish somebody would explain to me why he's in, the worst prison on earth. It's one thing to deport him, but,
it's a part of the story that I don't have an answer to.
What's happening?
So, I mean, I listen, y'all, I mean, I understand we want to get criminal illegal aliens out of the United States and all of that. But forget everything that we've talked about on immigration. Just, this guy wasn't in our country legally. He broke our laws to get here.
That's true.
Okay, that's great. We got to send him back. But why is he in prison in El Salvador? Wouldn't we just send him back, get him, and you're back home?
And before you say he's an MS-13 gang member, that was before an immigration law judge. That was not a criminal trial.
Right. He hasn't been tried for that.
Right.
So it's weird. It's weird.
So no one knows why he's in the most horrible prison on earth.
Well, good luck to you, sir. Godspeed.
And maybe Donald Trump or J.D. Vance will find El Salvador eventually.
And as soon as he gets out of that prison, you know what he's going to say? What a ride. It's time for news on Super Talk.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. The White House not backing down on deporting the Salvadoran man in Maryland. Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt today reading from court documents purporting to show Kilmar Abrego Garcia's wife filing for a domestic violence order of protection against her husband.
Court ordered that the respondent committed the following acts of abuse. Once in May of 2021, assault in any degree. And on May 4th of 2021, he punched and scratched his wife, ripped off her shirt, and grabbed and bruised her. Nothing will change the fact that Abrego Garcia will never be a Maryland father. He will never live in the United States of America again.
Still, the federal judge who claims he never should have been arrested wants a hearing with Justice Department officials within 2 weeks. Then there's the judge in D.C. who thinks the Trump administration's in contempt of court over those deportation flights. Devin Dwyer.
Judge Boasberg now saying he's going to be deposing members of the administration to answer for what went down back in March. After he issued that order, those planes continued. He has a lot of tools at his disposal. He can prosecute them, he says, for contempt, including by appointing an independent attorney to bring those involved with that procedure to justice.
It will likely head back to the U.S. Supreme Court. And on the heels of the CDC report showing the rate of autism increasing, Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. today says it's from the environment.
These are children who should not be suffering like this. These are kids who, many of them were fully functional and regressed because of some environmental exposure into autism when they're 2 years old.
The CDC report from 14 states and Puerto Rico claiming 1 in 31 children were diagnosed in 2022 compared to about 1 in 36 in 2020 and 1 in 150 back in 2000. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. All right, seeing a crash now, Briley Parkway northbound just south of Karen Drive. Police reporting that one. Other than that, we just got the usual brake tapping going on to get home. Still very heavy northbound 65 from 440 up to the South Loop downtown, and then eastbound 440 to get over to 24 from 65. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Friends, the Wellness Institute of Nashville has their huge 47% off in honor of our 47th President of the United States of America. 47% off non-surgical spinal decompression. Let me tell you something. Matt Murphy here, and I've made the switch to the Wellness Institute of Nashville, and I want you to as well, because they know what they're doing. Dr. Mitchell, Dr. Ashley understands that they need to take every step possible to alleviate your pain prior to recommending surgical procedures or surgical options, and they do so at the Wellness Institute of Nashville. I've experienced spinal decompression. It is absolutely a game changer in terms of eliminating pain in my lower back, and it can be a game changer for you as well. How does non-surgical spinal decompression work? Spinal decompression machine heals the disc by opening it up so blood and nutrition and hydration can get to that area and heal that spinal disc and the nerve. Knee decompression is very similar to this. Ask Dr. Mitchell or Dr. Ashley about spinal decompression and 47% off in honor of DJT. Call today at 615-246-5009, 246-5009, or go to painisbad.com. That's painisbad.com. I'm Matt Murphy, and the Wellness Institute of Nashville has my seal of approval.
Weather can change in an instant, and you need to be prepared for any outcome. That's why Generator Supercenter of Nashville will help keep your family safe and connected. We make buying a backup generator simple and easy, with financing options available, free in-home estimate, turnkey installations, no worry warranty, and most importantly, the monitoring and service of your fully installed generator. Come see us at our location in Nashville or visit us online. Generator Supercenter of Nashville. We serve all Middle Tennessee.
It is 38 minutes after 5 o'clock, Super Talk 99.7 WTN. It's a full house. We've got you here. Thank you for being here. Whatever time you give us is appreciated. Cameron Smith, he writes for the Tennessean. He shares his thoughts with us on a weekly basis. He's also in for me this Friday. Thank you, Cameron.
We're going to have some fun.
I hope so.
I mean, the news cycle never seems to end these days. So
never stops. We've got Chris Weber behind the glass. He's about to participate in a little nincompoops in the news. And Ken Weaver,
how about you?
Just finished up a stellar award-winning newscast, and now it's time for some nincompoopery. Here's the deal, man. I've made an executive decision as host of this radio show.
Okay.
Nobody gets to pick Gayle King. I think it's too easy.
Well, we've been there, done that.
I've been there, done that. But it is time to find the rest of the nincompoop. I mean, she's nincompoop number one. I'll tell you that.
Nincompoops.
Time to find the rest of these. Dadgummed nincompoops. We search the globe all over these United States of America, right here in our home state of Tennessee, to find the nincompoopery where it exists, where it lives, where it breathes, and we present it to you. It's Nincompoops in the News every day at this time on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. You get to vote. You're the judges, and you get to sit in judgment of our nincompoop stories, and you tell us who's the big winner. Yes, I think Weber is on a well, no, I won yesterday.
You won yesterday.
I won yesterday. You were on a 3. Are you telling me that the man, the myth, the legend? See, I'm telling you, it's this change in direction he's taken is screwing him up.
Hey, it's because I've gotten away from naked.
I'm telling you what. I mean, you were on a heater, and then all this week, nothing.
I'm going to get back to naked.
Oh, well. I'm going to let Cameron Smith go first if he's ready.
Oh, yeah, because I do the same thing, which is Florida man. A Florida man with the last name Cocaine was arrested for allegedly threatening.
Wait, what? His last name was what?
Yeah, Cocaine.
Excellent.
A Florida man with, I'm going to laugh getting through this. Yes. A Florida man with the last name Cocaine was arrested for allegedly threatening employees at a Subway restaurant at knife point after he was upset by their bad attitudes.
Y'all got some bad attitudes.
Edward Cocaine.
Oh, man.
Edward Cocaine. Teddy Cokes here.
Teddy Cokes.
Edward Cocaine, 45, was arrested over the weekend after he allegedly flipped out at Subway in Brevard County while
Teddy
trying to
Cokes wants a cold cut combo.
Right. Can you just imagine the cocaine, which is a great when your last name is how you're referred to in the article? This is just the sentence. Cocaine sparked an argument with the employees over what he believed was poor customer service, which quickly escalated after he hurtled over the counter, pushed one of the employees, and pulled out a knife, the Brevard County Sheriff said. Wow.
I wonder if it was his knife or if he just grabbed that bread knife they used.
Yeah.
And imagine you're this friend. The knife-wielding customer was eventually talked down by his friend, and they both left the restaurant.
His friend's name was Quaalude. Take it easy, man.
Wow.
Wine cooler.
And the end of the thing is, no employees were injured, but local authorities were soon notified about the alleged threats. The Subway staffers turned over the security footage, which captured every move Cocaine made in the store, cops said.
Teddy Cokes.
Teddy Cokes is
He
getting
don't
it,
lie. He
getting it
don't
done
lie.
in
He
Florida.
don't lie. Cocaine.
That's awesome. Let me tell you, it get dicey working at Subway. I worked at Subway before Waffle House in college. And for some reason, and I don't know if it was because of my predecessors, I always assumed that there were shenanigans going on because there were people that came into Subway. I was the third shift guy. Every day came into Subway asking for free sandwiches. Every day, people would come in, go on, give me a free sandwich. I'm like, no, I'm not giving you a free sandwich. What are you talking about? It's like, come on, you got food back there. Just make me one. They won't know. I'm like, no, I'm not. That's not how any of this works.
Yeah.
Eventually, they kind of filtered out. But I never had a Teddy Cocaine.
They probably walked into each store just to see what they could get for free.
Maybe so.
They'll find somebody that'll give them something.
Yeah. Just to get rid of them.
All I know is that they didn't take very good inventory at that Subway because at my apartment back at Wood Glen apartment complex, we had lots of blocks of cheese and lots of stacks of salami.
Yeah.
I don't know.
You wouldn't give that guy a free sandwich.
No, you got to earn it. You got to wear
the sandwich artiste.
That's exactly right. You got to. And we didn't wear. That was before gloves. What? We washed.
Sure, you did.
We washed.
We had a sink.
There's water.
Also smuggling lunch meats. Just saying.
You know, you do what you got to do, Mr. Weaver.
All right. This is out of the great state of Pennsylvania. A school nutrition administrator has been arrested for committing a terribly unappetizing act inside a beer cave at a Pennsylvania convenience store.
Uh-oh.
Police say store security footage showed the suspect, quote, pushing a case of beer back on the shelf, pulling her pants down, and doing the deed. Then leaving. 47-year-old Crystal Goss was arrested for open lewdness, criminal mischief, disorderly conduct, and for the little present that she left, creating a hazardous and physically offensive condition. She defecated.
Oh, I think we got it. I think we had it.
According to the complaint, which does not indicate why Goss allegedly used the beer cave as her toilet, about $80 worth of beer had to be discarded. Goss lives about a mile from the store and is the director of food and nutrition for the local school district there in Pennsylvania.
Wow. So
it's a pooper in Ken Weaver's nincompoop.
Yeah, that's pretty good, Mr. Weber.
I got nothing that bad. All right. The alleged con in this story began back on March 11th. A man found a flyer on his car for a tarot card reading, and he called the number. He spoke with a woman and agreed to a tarot card reading session for $20. 2 days later, on March 13th, the man went to an apartment to meet Carmen Valdez de Miguel, who reportedly referred to herself as Maria Rodriguez. During the reading, Valdez de Miguel allegedly told the man he needed a, quote, deeper spiritual cleansing procedure that would cost him between $600 and $700. She couldn't put a pinpoint on that one. Trusting her advice, the man agreed to a partial payment and transferred $200 through the payment processing app Zelle. Goodness. He then returned to the apartment and met with Valdez de Miguel again on March 14th for the spiritual cleansing season. that he had been prepaid a portion of. The report detailed that Valdez de Miguel then asked the man during the session about his available bank balance, where he reportedly told her he had about $8,000 available. I wonder who the nincompoop's going to be in this one.
I can only imagine.
Following the man's response, she then allegedly asked him to bring the full amount next time and assured him that if she were to use the money in the ritual, it would double and she would return it to him the same day.
Okay.
The man then returned to the apartment with $3,000 in cash. I guess that's all he could get his hands on. Where Valdez de Miguel placed the money in a bag with some eggs.
With some eggs?
Yeah. During the ritual, the report states that the bag was broken, and upon opening it, the man claimed all that was left inside were broken eggs and worms.
Get mad at them damn eggs.
Yeah. The man told authorities that Valdez de Miguel appeared to be startled by what was in the bag, but when he asked for his money back, she claimed she couldn't do so because of her state of mind. She then assured the man that his money would be returned the next day.
Yeah.
Well, the man had then made multiple attempts to contact her following the encounter, but she refused to return the money, saying that she asserted that the funds were part of the ritual and could not be released until the candles extinguished on their own.
What?
Yeah. She was then taken into custody. Officers then gave her the opportunity to return the money, but she denied knowing the man and also gave a fake name during the arrest. She has been booked and charged on faces charges of organized scheme to defraud, grand theft, and resisting an officer without violence.
I don't know that fella. And I don't know where El Salvador is either.
Never heard of it.
I don't know what you're talking about. He was never here.
This guy's lucky that they just didn't include his name in the story because, come on, man.
Come on, dude. What? That's 11,000 total?
Well, he only brought 3,000 with him.
Oh, okay.
He didn't bring the full 8.
He was supposed to bring 8, but he only could get his hands on 3.
Yeah, so 3 plus probably 6 or 7, whatever she charged him, and then the initial $20. Of course, he's out that as well. So, almost $4,000 he's out.
Would y'all do one of those?
Nope.
I've done one of those. And it was exactly what you thought it would be.
Yeah.
A load of BS.
Just a load of garbage.
I'm seeing somebody in your past that you were close to.
Is my mom? Yeah, your mom.
Yeah.
Your mom.
She says, son.
I mean, yeah. I mean, we did a tarot deal on the streets of New Orleans years ago, outside of the house of voodoo or whatever the hell it was.
But all I know is Teddy Cokes.
Teddy Cokes, baby.
I mean,
all right, mine. I don't even claim that mine's a winner, but mine is something that you need to know about. But I've been fascinated by this for a while. It is called the Doomsday Buzzer. Are y'all familiar with the Russian Doomsday radio station called the Buzzer?
Oh yeah, I saw this.
Well, it has been around for a long, long time, and I've done some deep dives on YouTube and on the web about this thing. It was supposedly used by the KGB during the height of the Cold War. It was radio station UVB 76. It has been continuously buzzing since the late 1970s, although no one is willing to admit how it buzzes or who maintains it or who controls it. Someone does, but no one will say who or why or when. On April 15th, the Doomsday radio signal gave us 4 words. Had not done so in, some say, years. There are people that monitor this UVB 76. According to logs, which monitors its activity, the Doomsday radio station on April 15th signaled 4 words. Obviously, these are words in Russian. The words were Neptune, Thymus, Foxcloak, and Newt Abu.
Sweet.
Okay. While no one knows what these eerie signals indicate, speculations are that they are linked to a secret military operation or even nuclear protocol. UVB 76 transmits on the frequency 4625 kilohertz and is characterized by an eerie sound that buzzes 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. The shortwave station usually emits nothing but a static buzz until something huge like a nuclear attack is about to happen, it is said. In February, the radio station sent out 25 messages within 24 hours. Some of the words broadcast were synopsis, boulevard, coarsening, Volcaron, and there's one word that begins with a B that the Sun newspaper won't tell me what it is. They just dot it out. I'm assuming that's BS, just the full word. But anyway, many believe it's a military communication tool. Some say that it is not controlled by the Russians any longer, and that it. Oh, do you have it?
Yeah, this is the sound it makes.
Weird. I like it.
That's like
creepy.
Stranger Things.
Yeah, very creepy. Yeah.
Run it backward.
Professor David Stupples, a senior researcher in electronic warfare, first heard about the mysterious Russian radio frequency in the 1990s. He explained to the Sun newspaper that the UVB-76 is a high-frequency band known as HV, is available to listen to across the entire Russian territory. The advantage, according to experts, the signal can be transmitted and heard without satellites or without internet. So the Russians using some old-school technology to transmit several words to include, wait for it, new taboo. New taboo.
What is new taboo?
I don't know. New taboo.
Is there no English translation for that word?
No, I think that is the English translation.
Oh. Okay.
Well, dadgummit, I've lost the other words. Hold on a second.
Neptune, Thymus.
Oh, thank
Thymus.
you. And new taboo.
New taboo.
Foxcloak.
Foxcloak. New taboo. I don't know. The new taboo is my favorite because it sounds dirty.
Yep, a little bit.
There's your nincompoops in the news on Super Talk 99.7 WT, and you may vote. Cameron, Ken, Chris, Matt. I'll tally them and let you know. We'll get into the more serious matters involving budgets in the state of Tennessee. Don't go anywhere. I'll make it interesting, I promise. Or at least I'll do my best. Somehow this primary election that you wrote about in the Tennessean, it somehow is mysteriously now costing us $8 million.
Million bajillion.
And I don't understand why. We're going to discuss next on Super Talk. Hello, friends. It's Matt Murphy, and I have a few questions for you. How much do you pay for your health insurance over the last year, for example? If you don't know, I encourage you to call Shane Ring, to write this telephone number down and give Cover Nash a call. Secondarily, are you paying too much? Are you getting the coverage that you deserve? Well, if you don't know the answer to those questions, call Shane Ring. Shane Ring is not a call center. He is local to our community, which is so very important. A local health insurance expert that has the ability to shop the entire healthcare market. He doesn't work for insurance companies. He works for you. I've been to his office. I've seen the manner in which he does his work, and he does not want you to overpay for healthcare plans and procedures, and he sees it every single day. Cover Nash wants you to be informed about your health coverage. Don't wait until open enrollment. You simply don't have to. Let Shane Ring get you a health plan that pays you, not the other way around. Don't get taken advantage of, and don't overpay. Call Shane Ring and Cover Nash. Take control of your money and your health coverage, managed by you and never by the government. Go to covernash.com. That's covernash.com, or call 615-465-0023, 465-0023 for Cover Nash.
The White House claiming to have court documents showing that the Salvadoran man deported from Maryland has a violent past and is indeed an MS-13 gang member. We'll tell you about it at 6 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Tallying votes here, it seems like it's a horse race between, well, you three. Ken Weaver won. Weaver, poop in the bear cave by the lunch lady.
See, I went back to naked.
Beer cave, not bear cave.
That does say beer
cave. If you poop in a bear cave, you better be pretty legit.
Yeah.
Chris definitely won this one. 76-72, the pooper in the beer cave who's in charge of public school nutrition.
Yeah. Everybody wash your hands.
I'll do some ciphering and we'll figure it out. We got one more hour to go in that final hour. What are we talking about? What were we just talking about? What were we talking about?
I don't know.
$8 million for primaries.
Oh, yeah. That's
never
right.
heard of El Salvador.
And I've never heard of El Salvador. Harvard. We're going to argue. Yeah. Cameron and I are going to argue about Harvard University. Harvard! On the way next on Super Talk.
Six o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. Well, the White House today claims to have court documents showing that the Salvadoran man deported from Maryland has a violent past and is a member of MS-13.
Not only are Democrats rushing to defend an illegal criminal foreign terrorist gang member, but also an apparent woman beater.
As White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt says almost 4 years ago.
Court ordered that the respondent committed the following acts of abuse. Once in May of 2021, assault in any degree. And on May 4th of 2021, he punched and scratched his wife, ripped off her shirt, and grabbed and bruised her.
And U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi has produced what she claims is a gang interview field sheet from police in Prince George's County that Abrego Garcia was an active member of MS-13 in 2019 with the rank of Chiqueo and a nickname of Shele. A federal judge ruled today the executive branch acted in contempt of court over those deportation flights. Here's Devin Dwyer.
Even though we expect the Trump administration to resist this contempt finding, they will challenge it. They will likely appeal it. It will likely go back to the U.S. Supreme Court. Every indication I have seen is that the Supreme Court will stand by Judge Boasberg if it gets there.
And on the heels of the CDC report showing the rate of autism increasing, Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. says it's because of some environmental exposure into autism when these kids were 2 years old.
It's time for everybody to stop attributing this to this ideology of epidemic denial.
The CDC report from 14 states and Puerto Rico claims 1 in 31 children in 2022 diagnosed, compared to about 1 in 36 in 2020 and 1 in 150 in 2000. And in Nashville, the Federal Drug Enforcement Agency says one of its agents shot and killed a suspect, took 2 other suspects into custody around 6 o'clock this morning. It was at the Fairfield Inn and Suites Hotel on 29th Avenue North. Just as this employee tells Channel 4 she was arriving for work.
When I come down the side road, everything was blocked off. And police, they were wearing bulletproof vests, DEA marked jackets. I knew it was serious.
Now, the DEA says the suspect who died was a 36-year-old man. No one else injured. Channel 4 says Metro Nashville Police leading the investigation. Been a whirlwind week for NASA astronaut and Tennessee native Butch Wilmore. Last night he tossed the first pitch in Knoxville.
Well, I watched from Space Station last year during all the playoffs, or the end of the playoffs, and while they were in Omaha. I've taken every game that I could, but we have to have a certain type of coverage, KU band coverage, so when I had it, I was watching. And so to actually watch the game, watch them win the national championship, and then be here now, it don't get no better. This is great.
Wilmore was also at the state capitol today and presented the Speaker of the House the Tennessee flag he displayed on the International Space Station after technical issues extended what was supposed to be just a week-long mission to 286 days. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. Police reporting a crash near the airport, Briley Parkway northbound, just south of Karen Drive. Then in Clarksville, TDOT says there's a crash 24 westbound after MLK Parkway. Again, over by the airport, police reporting 140 westbound at exit 216A. The Hermitage got a stalled vehicle blocking the left shoulder, 40 eastbound before Central Pike. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Chris Webber and Matt Murphy are out of the running on Nincompoops in the News. Cameron Smith and Ken Weaver are running neck and neck. As a matter of fact, last I checked, it was a tie.
Wow. Oh, come on, folks.
We got the Beer Cave Pooper and Teddy Cocaine.
Teddy Cokes is, I mean, that
in the subway.
That's serious, man.
Pulling a blade on the employees.
Didn't like their attitude.
You get your attitude right.
Well, at least he didn't drop trow and lay one down.
That's true.
Like a lunch lady over there. Y'all will figure it out. 615-737-9986, final hour of the day. On this Wednesday edition, we'll hand off to Mark Levin after this hour. And pleased that you've decided to join us. A number of subject matters to discuss, to include, I'm a little confused, and I'm trying to get some clarity on this. I don't have much to say about it, but I just want to make you aware. So the House and the Senate passed budgets today. And they needed to make up some money. They took money away from the Duck River fund that was getting $100 billion. They took away like $35 million of that money. They do this. They shift money around the finance department, and I'm not entirely sure how they can do this after they pass the legislation if it doesn't have money assigned to it. But they passed this primary bill. You're in support of the primary bill.
Yes.
I am too.
I
don't understand why it's costing us more money. But apparently they had to fund it at the tune of $8 million today, and I can't get a clear answer as to why. Now, I've spoken to the bill's sponsor in the House of Representatives. I'm in favor of the primary bill as well. I'll do you the honor.
Sure.
For those who don't know, what does the primary bill do?
Yeah, so basically this is a piece of legislation that was designed to say, hey, if you've got a primary for these certain offices, you have to keep the primary. You cannot roll it into a caucus or some other limiting type arrangement where the popular vote in the county, for example, is not counted. And that just doesn't seem that controversial to me, but here we are.
So I had Representative Gino Bolso on yesterday, and Representative Bolso was one of the Republicans, and there were a number of them that voted against the primary bill. I'm in favor of it. I believe that it gives maximum exposure to candidates, to those that will be represented by them.
Yeah.
And I think that's the way to do it. I don't like the idea of excluding veterans who are overseas, or excluding grandma because she can't get to the polls, or excluding a dad that's got to take his daughter to a soccer game or anything or whatever. So, and that's what would happen if you had these type of caucus situations. I asked Bolso, and Bolso said he was against it because he did not believe that it repaired a problem that existed. And I asked him when and where did this problem exist. And I'm talking about crossover voting. And he identified some race that I'd never heard of in Williamson County, where a less than conservative candidate lost by 11 votes or something or another to another candidate. And he feels like, had there not been crossover voting, I mean, there's no way to prove any of this, but had there not been crossover voting, that is an example, and that's the one that he gave. But he said he doesn't like caucuses either. However,
crossover voting is already illegal in Tennessee.
Well, and I noted that. I cited your article that, it is already illegal to do that. But the idea is that we don't know. I mean, how do you prove that someone is doing it?
Right.
How do you prove that someone is not genuinely reflecting on their values and deciding to switch parties at any given time? And I get that. At the same time, I don't want to exclude that either. Bottom line is this. I was all in favor of it, and I was assuming that it was kind of a zero-sum game. If you're doing it this way now, it's not going to cost any additional money. I'm confused why it's costing us additional money. They put in a line item for $8 million of one-time cost, and I asked Lee Reeves, I said, how did the primary bill end up costing $8 million? I'm a supporter. I'm just confused as to what happened. A couple of folks have asked. And he said, it was a surprise to me this morning. My bill cost nothing because it simply codified what counties are already doing. In other words, if you're already on a caucus system, you get to stay on a caucus system. You don't get to change. You don't have to change.
Yeah.
He said it was noted in the floor debate that the state reimburses counties during presidential years only. So this takes care of off years. I support it, but I did not know that in advance.
So the state is basically saying counties, we're reimbursing you.
If we're going to mandate how you do this, we're going to reimburse you for local elections.
$8 million. Who knew?
That's a
the
good amount of money for local elections.
What I do, I don't like these games of, well, the mysterious crossover Democrats will infiltrate. When you got a small group that's saying, but you should trust us to pick for you. Like,
right.
Well, you tell me which one's worse. I mean, I did the math in the article that I wrote over at the Tennessean and said, this is a fraction of the number. It is about a tenth. The party control, a majority at a county party is about a tenth of the number of people in Nolensville that showed up and voted to allow wine in grocery stores. A tenth of that number. That number was 7,424 people. About a tenth of that number gives you a county majority.
Caucuses are antiquated systems.
Yes.
And we should not be using them to tally votes. It is not my business. I'm not a Republican. I'm not a Democrat. I don't belong to a political party. And frankly, I don't have a problem with a closed primary. If that's what y'all want to do, it would exclude me from the primary process. I don't think it's that. I think it is a problem in search of a solution in search of a problem. It occurs to me that the times that I hear about crossover voting is very soon after a set of people lose an election, and they decide that they know exactly why they lost the election, and that's because people who were not pure enough
to
help them win the election did not push them across the finish line.
And if you do this kind of stuff, a lot of voters are going to wonder why they don't have a vote in a primary. They're going to be saying, wait a minute, what's going on? I mean, I did this. Marsha Blackburn outperformed Trump in 2024. In Williamson County, 94,791 votes, right? And so that's maybe your high watermark. And then a lot of those folks are going to say, wait a minute, like you're not, I have to go play a game or jump through hoops, and now I don't get to vote. What's going on? And they're going to be ticked, and it's going to hurt their party.
And if we had a closed system, and I hear you, Ray. Ray writes in and says, if it's illegal, why do they ask you when you go to vote, which ballot do you want, Democrat or Republican? It is not illegal. We need to have closed primaries. Well, in that case, if I'm in a red district, and if there is a level of collusion going on right now, just follow me here, Ray. If Democrats are already getting together and thinking, well, we're going to all vote in this Republican primary because we don't really have any impact as a Democrat. By the way, why wouldn't they just register as Republicans?
Right.
Vote in the Republican primary every time and then vote for the Democrat in the general election?
Yeah,
which they could do.
Yes.
So if you have closed primaries in Williamson County, all of the Democrats can still get together and register as Republicans. I mean, how are you going to keep them out then?
You can't.
You can't. You can't deny someone the ability to and then they vote as a Republican, and then they vote the sucker candidate in like y'all claim they're doing, and then they go and they vote for the Democrat in the general election. What would stop them from doing that?
Nothing.
Nothing.
But this is the game, right? It's Ooh, you should be afraid that the Democrats will organize and somehow infiltrate our politics, so surrender your vote to us. Like, we can protect you from yourself. And I don't trust that. I never will. That kind of fear-based silliness, I dismiss offhand.
Or maybe it's that your message is not resonating with as many people as you think it's resonating with, and you have to find a boogeyman in the corner of the room to blame.
Yes. Well, I mean, this is the true conservative thing that I hear all the time is, well, I'm the true conservative. I know. Well, who made you King conservative? Like, tell me more about that, because every different group, I'll just call it out. I mean, every different grifter group out there says, we are the true conservatives, and if you give us money, we'll bring conservative ideas. I was in that world for a long time. I knew a lot of the folks that were there, and it was always the same thing. We'll save the world if you'll just give us your money. And my point is, we need to have Reagan's big tent. We need to say, hey, we're conservative, but we're going to move the ball forward. And, oh, by the way, the guy at the top of the ticket, he doesn't even claim to be a conservative.
Well, and look, I don't mean I'm not here to, my grandpa always said it's okay to preach to the choir. Just don't keep condemning the choir to hell. Otherwise, next Sunday, you're not going to have a choir.
Right.
So, I mean, I get it, but who decided what was a conservative? Like, where's that definition?
Barry Goldwater wrote a great book on it.
I mean, I understand that, but
there is no authority for who is conservative.
Right. And so I know plenty of people that tell me that Bill Lee is not a conservative.
Right.
Plenty of people tell me that Bill Lee is a conservative.
Right.
Well, who's right? And the people that say he's not say, we are right. He is not a conservative. I'm like, well, who appointed you the decider?
Right. Which is why I don't lose much sleep over people that are like, hey, Cameron, he's this rock rib conservative, or he's a rhino. Like, okay,
well,
fine.
you're Cameron Romney, and everybody knows that.
Cameron Romney.
I mean, you're no conservative.
Thanks for that, Ray.
No, you're different.
I'm different.
Yeah, no. You're the exception.
I'm familiar with this.
They say that you're the exception that proves the rule.
I'm writing at the Tennessean. How conservative can you be?
I mean, good gracious. You all over there sucking up to those liberals.
I'm just bleed, but I bleed red.
And you know what? I worry every Wednesday afternoon that I'm going to get a little something on me.
You probably infected.
You. Betty's in Hendersonville. Betty, thank you for the call. How are you?
I'm doing well. How y'all doing?
Doing great.
I'm driving, so I can't vote, but of course my vote would go to Kenny Weaver, just FYI.
Ken has become the big winner over the last 5 minutes, by the way, Betty. Yes.
But anyway, as an officer of election, I can shed a little bit of light for you. Here's what happens in my county, at least, in Tennessee, okay? We have a very conservative Republican county. And people come to vote in a primary. We ask them which ballot they want. And we have examples of the ballot posted on the walls, posted on the desk where you register, etc. But they get very upset because they find out that if they pick a certain party, Democrat, they don't have any candidates to vote for. Well, we don't control that. If your party doesn't have anybody qualified that they put up to run, that's your party. That's not us, right? And so then some of those people, get huffy and go away. And some of those people say, okay, well, then they want us to void their ballot and give them the other ballot because they want to be able to vote since they came out.
Right.
So, and I wouldn't say that we consider those people crossovers really and truly. I mean, because they haven't had someone they can vote for in the primary, so it really doesn't make a hill of beans worth of a difference, if you get my drift.
Yeah.
So just thought I would throw that out there for consideration.
Thank you, Miss Betty. I'm glad you did. Super Talk 99.7 WTN, 20 after the hour. We'll continue this conversation and also shift over to Harvard University. They're getting $2 billion of taxpayer money, and I can't figure out why. But Cameron warns you might not want to pull that tax-exempt status too quickly. We'll discuss next on Super Talk. Hey, friends, it's Matt Murphy. U.S. Pest is on my mind. I mean, it's that time of year, right? We're seeing more of the bugs. We're seeing more of the spiders. We're seeing more of that which you want to keep out of your home and off of your property. Well, if you've not seen them yet, before you know it, it will be tick and flea season. Friends, at U.S. Pest, even if you're already a customer, if you refer a neighbor, a friend, or a family member, you'll receive a $50 credit on your account and get a free mosquito, tick, and flea treatment. How about that? Now, if you're not a customer, you need to be, because U.S. Pest does it better than anyone else on the job today in terms of pest control and pest protection. It's what they do. Crawl space service, termite protection, and full service pest control available at U.S. Pest. They simply destroy pests. They're little communists. You don't want them in their house. Get with U.S. Pest and let's eliminate those things. 590-1260 is the telephone number. That's 615-590-1260. Or go to uspest.com. Tell them Matt Murphy sent you to uspest.com. It's that time of year. Efficient Heating and Cooling reminds you that if you're using the AC a little bit more, you need to get the AC maintenance. I mean, you take your car in for an oil change. Every so many months, you go into the dentist office and you get your teeth looked at and you get them cleaned. Why in the world wouldn't you do the same for your AC? It is a major expense in your home, and you need someone that you can trust that will go over your AC from tip to stern and make sure everything's running A-OK. And they don't charge you an arm and a leg at Efficient Heating and Cooling. Jeff Eddy doesn't believe in it. Never more than $125 for a maintenance call at a residence at Efficient Heating and Cooling. And oftentimes, it is considerably less than that. That is a maximum charge, no matter how many units you might have. Jeff Eddy keeps his overhead low and he keeps his invoices lower. That's why he does not charge overtime on the weekends or overtime on the evening hours, because your AC doesn't know what time it is when it goes out. When it's time to replace, they're an Elite Pro partner with Rheem. Call Jeff Eddy and Efficient Heating and Cooling. If your AC is not ready, call Jeff Eddy. EfficientHVAC.net, EfficientHVAC.net, or 615-784-4424. Thank you much, Mr. Weaver. 25 minutes after the hour. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Okay, so Sally wants to know, is the $2 billion Harvard gets the same thing as being tax exempt, or are they different? I believe these are different things. Tensions are rising in academia as the Trump administration is freezing $2 billion in multi-year grants and contracts that Harvard University receives from federal money after its leadership refused to make key policy changes that the White House is demanding regarding DEI. Harvard refused to eliminate diversity, equity, inclusion programs. They refused to ban masks at campus protest. They would not enact merit-based hiring and admissions reforms, and they refused to reduce the power of faculty and administration. The Republican Trump administration calls, quote, committed more to activism than scholarship. Let's start with the $2 billion piece.
Yeah.
Harvard's private.
Yep.
Harvard, to my understanding, they charge in excess of $100,000 a year.
That sounds right. I mean, it's expensive to
I mean,
Harvard.
and I might be off for a little bit. I could look it up, but it's a lot of money to go to Harvard. It's a pretty exclusive school, whether you're going to undergraduate or graduate school.
Yeah, full tuition without room and board is $57,328.
Okay, so you add room and board, then you're very quickly approaching that $100,000 figure. Why is tax money going to Harvard?
So we do have tax money going to a lot of universities and things like that for research and other different things, right? We've talked about that, the NIH grants, different things along those lines. We have open federal grant making that a lot of institutions are eligible to pursue. I'm not sure that we should necessarily.
But if we do that, we should probably do it in a more wholesale fashion, maybe.
I mean, with everybody being,
Right.
And I think so there's also the issue of capacity. For example, Harvard can do some things that smaller institutions can. And if you want to leverage some of their expertise and things like that, which may be in the public interest, I could see that. I have no idea what the $2 billion figure encompasses. But it's fair to say if you don't want to grant that money and you're in charge of the executive branch and Congress hasn't said you must give this to Harvard, then you can just say no. And that's fine. That doesn't bother me.
Yeah, Columbia was one of the first colleges that the Trump administration went after, obviously.
Yes.
They announced on March 7th that $400 million in federal grant and contract dollars were being pulled from the university over the White House in what they described as the school's failure to stop anti-Semitism. And, I mean, it's a legitimate issue on our college campuses that it seems that the administrators of these, and these are private schools, but they seem to be picking, certain winners and certain losers.
Yes.
On campus, and that's problematic for this administration. So I would think that it is, as you said, within the right of the administration to say we're going to prioritize our money elsewhere.
Yeah. I don't have any problem with that. I mean, I want a little asterisk. Harvard gives free tuition to, I think it's families making less than $200,000 a year. So their tuition is posted at that, but they do use some of their resources to offer basically large financial aid packages to most students.
For families making less than $200,000, the poor, pitiful, poor, according to Harvard.
Yes. Well, if you're making $200,000 and their tuition for 1 year is
that's a lot of money.
You can't
afford it. What about tax exempt status? So the Trump administration is kind of using that as a bludgeon now.
Yeah, conservatives have for a long time said, no, we don't use the tax code to go after organizations whose views we don't like. I mean, this was the Obama administration. This is how the Tea Party got started, was the IRS looking into these various conservative nonprofits and saying, well, we're going to remove your status and we're quote unquote targeting you. And that was one where everybody's like, no, the administration would never do that. And it turns out they were doing that. And that's how the Tea Party really got going. I don't think that we should say now, well, because certain people were doing that, we should do that now and we should pull the tax status, because where we go with this is, okay, AOC and co is coming after churches next and saying, well, now, we're going to tax you. We're going to tax your tithes. And some people say, okay, fine, let's do that. We shouldn't have any nonprofits. But if we're going to allow nonprofits, we should have a test that's politically blind.
Some of these nonprofits don't feel like nonprofits.
Harvard's one of them.
And Harvard's one of them. And that's where I want to go after the news, because, I mean, it's hard for me to agree that they're a nonprofit when they have, didn't you say that their endowment was?
It's $53 billion.
It's
largest in the world.
Last I checked, that's a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
We'll discuss next on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hello, friends. It's Matt Murphy for Genesis Diamonds. And, folks, the big sale is on the way at Genesis Diamonds. And when I say sale at Genesis, it's a real sale. They don't mark up to mark down. They're really selling at a 35% discount on some items at Genesis Diamonds, April 25th, 26th, and 27th. It's the big one. This selection is like double the norm that they'll have in the store in both Green Hills and Cool Springs locations. I'm talking about more jewelry than you've ever seen in one place at prices that you didn't think was possible. Rings, pendants, earrings, bracelets, bands, stunning fashion jewelry that you will not find anywhere else. If you're thinking about popping the question, gentlemen, you need to get Genesis Diamonds this weekend, April 25th, 26th, and 27th. You're not going to find better value in town. It's the event where the Genesis staff knows that they are there to sell you the items, in some cases, 35% off. Green Hills and Cool Springs, they have a special financing available for the entire event, engagement, anniversary, birthday, new baby, whatever. This is the event to buy. Green Hills, Cool Springs, it's Genesis Diamonds. Sandra, I believe you are correct. Cameron Smith, incorrect, but, you know. Who's to say, really?
What am I incorrect about?
I think that the Tea Party came about after Obama got elected, and Obama was trying to change tax rates on the American consumer. And because when we were doing it in 2009, T was standing for taxed enough already.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think after the formation of some of those Tea Party organizations, I think that's when the Obama administration went after them.
But what I'm saying is not that
status.
Started it, but that was a massive accelerant.
Oh, no, that wasn't.
Because it proved them right. It was they were saying initially the Tea Party was dismissed because it was, well, you were just, there's no way the federal government would target groups like that.
Right.
No way.
Right.
And then they had the IG coming in. It was Becky Garrettson.
Becky Garrettson down in Alabama.
Came and testified. And then it was like, yeah, actually this is happening. And then, poosh.
It's the real deal.
Yeah.
And then Lois Lerner, what's her name, just lied before the Congress of the United States of America. No, we're not doing that. And she was absolutely doing that. One way or the other, it is a no-brainer. Tax exempt status for universities that have endowments. First off, one of our listeners on the Super Text line asked the question, what is an endowment?
Well, this is basically a group of funds that are held. You called it a pot of money. I think that's really accurate.
Pot of money.
It is a pot of money that is used for the charitable purpose of the organization in question. So you could have, Harvard has its endowment that's $53 billion.
Billion.
And it spins off income in the form of investments that they use to fund Harvard's activities and stuff like that.
They never touch that pot of money. They
Typically,
invest
they
it,
do not.
And they use the top end, the cream, and they use that for what they want to do with it. So why would we consider Harvard to be tax exempt as a nonprofit when they're sitting on $53 billion?
Because the way that this works, and a lot of people haven't really thought about what nonprofit means, it means that the enterprise itself is not for a profit, right? Doesn't mean you can't spend billions of dollars. It means you can't spin off a profit and have what would look like corporate profits, right? So they're spending a lot. Those professors at Harvard make a ton of money. You can have nonprofits that pay people it has to basically be more or less market rate for their positions. But in higher ed, they all pay people through the nose. So you can spend a lot of money. It feel very profitable for people and still be a nonprofit from a legal standpoint.
That sounds like a loophole that needs to be closed to me.
If you said, well, if you're over a certain size, then okay, you can't be a nonprofit.
So I get to decide as Harvard University, because I'm private, right? So I get to decide what I charge kids.
Mm-hmm.
We get to decide when we do or do not give scholarships. We get to decide how much we pay our professors. We get to decide how much we pay our administrators.
Mm-hmm.
And we get to decide the rest of the money goes into a quote-unquote fund that then we invest, generating money.
Mm-hmm.
That would be generating a profit.
Right.
But as long as we don't spend that on anything other than the university.
It's basically, think of an endowment for not just Harvard, but any institution that's a nonprofit as a fundraising entity for itself. It's saying we're basically using these funds that were given to us as a mechanism to generate funds to operate.
But once again, I mean, they can declare themselves nonprofit and they can absorb those monies. But if I'm a company and if I'm not going to be able to declare myself a nonprofit by using profits to spend on my vacations, to spend on my salaries, to spend on it, just because I spend them on myself doesn't right? Am I misunderstanding this?
No, but they're arguing that another key component of being a tax-exempt nonprofit is that you're essentially a public corporation in the sense of you're doing this for a public good. And that's how the tax code, we can argue whether different institutions meet that threshold or not, but the truth is Harvard does do a lot of research. They do a lot of things that have inured to the public's benefit because they've discovered different things. They love to tell you about it too. You can go to their website and they'll show all the things. I think the better tact here is to look at it and say, you know how you're making money off the things you discover from public dollars? Well, you can have an option. You can either not use those public dollars to discover those things, or when you discover those things, those patents and that discovery
go back
belongs
to the public.
To the public. I'd be fine with that.
I'll take it one step further. Why? And I'm not saying I'm deciding one way or the other by asking a question where I fall on this. So don't get me wrong.
This should be good.
Why are churches nonprofit?
A lot of churches aren't even registered as such. They're just.
I mean, why are they tax exempt?
My assumption is that they're not for profit and that they're not there to generate income, and they do serve a public purpose, and we've always kind of left them alone.
But why?
There's no reason. The why is because we choose to. We don't have to. You can absolutely, as a matter of public policy, say, hey, look, you're a mega church and you're generating tons of revenue and we're going to tax you on that.
Mm-hmm.
Like you could. Absolutely.
I mean, you could argue that a lot of for-profit organizations have done a lot for the public good.
Sure.
And so why aren't those organizations tax exempt?
Yeah, I mean, we're playing.
Feels like we're
yes, we are playing a semantic game here of how you're structured. I mean, and then we have things like B corporations, which are kind of a hybrid. You know, there are a ton of different legal setups. We have simply chosen that these entities in this structure, you go through this process. And the other thing is they have to disclose a lot. Like they have to file documents with the IRS that are publicly available that you can search. Any nonprofit that's a 501c3, for example, their information is out there for you to look at. And private companies, they don't do that.
It feels like Harvard is having it both ways. And Harvard is an example of many different private institutions around the country, like Columbia and others, right? That they enjoy tax-exempt status. They enjoy government money through grant dollars, but they shield themselves from some of that public scrutiny by saying, hey, we're a private institution. You don't get to tell us what to do.
Sure, but you still have to disclose on your 990, your financials, different things like that. Like you must do that. If you do not do that, then they will pull your 501c3 status, for example. And the IRS does that regularly to entities that don't do that.
Or if you create a dynamic that is determined to be anti-Semitic, maybe you get your tax-exempt status pulled.
Well, there are a number of places that you could do that. My argument would be, if you don't like them, that's one thing. If you're going to create a new rule that applies equally to all nonprofits, fine, do that. But to start playing the we pick ones we don't like and go after them, that to me is a real problem, because that's going to be used as a precedent to say, well, actually, this is what we're going to do.
I think churches should have to pay property taxes based on the value of the structures they build.
Are you just trying to?
I'm
not with me.
I watch churches build these huge, incredible, gajillion-dollar structures, and they don't pay taxes on it.
Well, I mean, that
I'm just trying to challenge the status quo of the way that people
You can do that
think.
as a matter of policy, right? And say, hey, we think that, because I just looked it up, Tennessee Code, you've got religious, charitable, scientific, nonprofit, educational, don't pay property tax. That's Tennessee Code 67512.
I mean, 1733 agrees with me. He says construction companies build homes for people. I don't know how you can get more humanitarian than that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, groceries feed us. Like,
I'm getting a little bit goofy, and Cameron's like, "Are you serious over here?" Yeah, I'm serious.
It's fine. I think that just picking the ones you don't like is the problem for me. If you want to say we're no longer going to do this, no, we're only pulling the tax exempt status from the Baptists. Don't get me wrong. The Baptists no longer. Great.
Kevin is next. Hey, Kevin, how are you?
I'm good, sir, and this is completely off subject here. I'm going back to earlier. I had to go to a funeral, but I made the comment Alan Shepard never went to space. I made that.
Kevin wrote in on the super text. That was you, Kevin?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And Kevin says Alan Shepard never went to space. So does that mean that no one's ever been to space?
Yes. And just hang on for a minute, because this one phone call is not going to change anything, but it might.
Oh, Kevin, I'm in the mood for this. I'm ready for it. Let's go.
Here you go. Well, it's sort of like this. NASA in Hebrew means to deceive. Let's start right there with that.
Wait, Kevin, you got to say that again, because apparently your phone believes you that nobody's ever been to space, so there's no satellite up there. So help me out.
I'm up on the hill. Sorry. NASA means in Hebrew, it means to deceive. So let's just start there. I'm looking at this from a biblical worldview. So that may be, for me, 14 years now, I've been like this 14. That was the challenge at the beginning. I had to go, wait a minute. The Bible gets 240 verses of all this stuff that's completely opposite of what I've been taught. I mean, I've been teaching school for 25 years now. I'm not a science teacher. But, and so I got to look at it.
The Hebrew word for NASA means to lift, carry, bear, or take.
Now, that must be were you looking it up on Google?
Oh, you're looking it up on Google. Oh, I bet he is. Way to catch him, Kevin. How dare you, Cameron. Get him, Kevin.
This is the way I used to do it, too. When I first was, told somebody, said, what you believe about the earth being flat? I'm like, that's the best stuff. Well, that was 14 years ago. That's how long this journey's been. So it's not overnight. But when you start to look at it, maybe Genesis 1:6, when he talks about the dome, separating the waters from above, the waters below, some of this stuff. And then they mention these Van Allen belts, all this stuff, and it's like, wait a minute, what would it be possible that all of this is a stage? I mean, you go back and look at that picture with Wernher von Braun, first head of NASA, who was a Nazi. I mean, we brought 300, Operation Paperclip, 300 of best scientists over from Germany after the war.
Oh, yeah.
So, they didn't necessarily lose. They just mentioned it. And we put them in these two organizations. Robert David Steele with CIA said this. He said that they either went to the CIA or they went to NASA. He even said it. They called it not a space agency. So when you start to look at these things, it's like, wait a minute. Is it possible that Arthur C. Clarke, which is in this picture, Space Odyssey, he wrote that, Space Odyssey, Wernher von Braun, Stanley Kubrick, who's a master at Hollywood movies, but obviously couldn't,
One of my favorites, The Shining. Fabulous movie. Eyes
Yeah,
Wide
that
Shut.
is a good one.
Love it.
Back to the Future.
Yeah.
That's not Stanley.
But, well, no, that's Back to the Future. Anyway, so you start to put some of these pieces together, and it's like, man, we had to get to space before Russia did. And you got to wonder, well, was this all?
Hey, Kevin, this is what I'd like to do. I would like to extend an official invitation for you to come back on the show, and I'll give you a full opportunity to express all of this. But I would just beg
I'll do
you
that.
maybe we'll get into a better phone situation because I'm having trouble hearing you. I don't know if anybody else is, but I mean, I love it. I mean, I'm open for it. Whenever you want to call, when we got a couple of minutes, I would love to talk about your belief that we have never been to space, because the sheer magnitude of individuals that would have to be involved in this conspiracy is mind-boggling. Mind-boggling.
So Strong's lexicon is where I got it from, that the definition of NASA is to journey, to travel, to depart, to set out. So there's that. Also kind of neat that that's the case.
And I guess they used that, but then they created the acronym, the National Aeronautics and Space Administration.
Yeah.
Or the not actually a space administration, as Kevin just said.
Yeah.
Well, Larry, let's give you the final say on all of it. Hello, Larry.
Hello, fellas. Hey, I was just going to say that Tea Party actually goes back to '08. It was a fundraiser held on the anniversary of the Boston Tea Party from the Ron Paul campaign. And many of the things that Trump is implementing came straight from Ron Paul's platform. So,
big fan of Ron Paul. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I'd forgotten that, but I mean I remember participating during the election cycle. We had a big rally down in Birmingham, Alabama, at Oak Mountain Amphitheater. And thank you, Larry, for the call. I think that was early '09. I think that was right after his election. But there's no question. I mean, there are a lot of different groups and organizations.
Mm-hmm.
Larry, I don't dispute that you're not right. I'm certain that you probably are, but you can draw that back to its genesis. But they just blossomed in popularity all over the country in '09.
Yeah, it's so weird for me because I was a young attorney on Capitol Hill, and I remember I was in the hearing room for that hearing when they had the revelation. I think it was the Inspector General that said, yes, upon review, yes, this was targeting, right? I mean,
right.
And that was before there was targeting in football. But yes, that's what it was. And it was so shocking to everybody that this would happen because we just assumed that it didn't. And now, we're, going full-fledged, if I don't like you, then we're going to find ways to punish you. I do think that the federal government does have the ability to say, hey, if you're preaching and pushing ideas and things, we don't have to give you this money, and so we're not.
Well, there you go.
Pretty easy.
Sally writes in and says, I'm going to need you to transcribe Kevin's conversation. I can't understand most of it. I can do that, Sally. Kevin said we never went to space. Ever, ever, ever. It's all a big conspiracy and cover-up.
Yeah. Well, Larry mentioned the SR-71 Blackbird, which is my favorite airplane.
Doesn't exist.
It's awesome.
We got to go. It's 54 after the hour. Thank you, Cameron Smith, and thank you to all of you. Back in a moment. I'm currently telling Cameron Smith that I don't believe that the SR-71 could go Mach 3. He's saying, look it up, look it up. Speaking of looking things up, how about the podcast? Look up All the Best Words. A podcast will drop in mere minutes on Supertalk 99.7 WTN. You can find it at 997WTN.com. Look up the podcast page. You can also find it on the YouTubes. I don't know that we're dropping it on the Facebook, but you can find it on my Facebook page and my Twitter page, at Matt Murphy Show, on either of those pages, and we will get it there for you. Or go to the YouTube page, Supertalk 99.7 WTN, and there you go. Thank you to Cameron Smith. Thank you to Chris Weber and Ken Weaver. We're back tomorrow. It's My Thursday Friday on Supertalk 99.7 WTN. Have a great evening, folks. Hug your loved ones. So long, everybody.